we welcome you to a very special edition of Geico Islanders Game Night and a really special night at the Coliseum as the old and the new get ready to celebrate together the anniversary of the 1980 Stanley Cup Championship team. We're pleased to bring it to you tonight. Fitting that the Islanders later tonight will play the Flyers, the game they beat in a Game 6 of the 1980 Stanley Cup Finals. 28 men are listed on the Stanley Cup from 1980. Almost all of them are here. Chico Resch starts us off.
Hi, everyone. This is Chico Resch. Welcome to the 1980 Stanley Cup celebration. I'm sorry I can't be with you tonight. I know it's going to be a very special night. But I do personally want to thank my teammates as well as all the great fans on Long Island for some of my most cherished moments in hockey. When I think of Long Island, I think of this great rink, I think of the great fans, and some of the great times we have. And now, to continue the celebration, I want to introduce our friend and Hall of Fame announcer, Jigs McDonald.
Jigs McDonald is out on the ice, and he will host the ceremony from ringside as almost all of the members of the 1980 Stanley Cup team are here. The banner has been raised. 7 of them have been inducted into the Hall of Fame, but all of them will be introduced and have their moment in the spotlight tonight.
And now, to continue the celebration,
I'm Deb Kaufman in our Islanders studio. We always remember the Bobby Nystrom goal that won Game 6, but there was so much drama along the way. Jigs McDonald will carry us through.
Thank you. Thanks for the memories. Chico, thank you as well. Ladies and gentlemen, May 24th, 1980, a day that will never be forgotten here on Long Island and in the hockey world. Good evening and welcome. Welcome to the celebration of the New York Islanders Stanley Cup Championship team. I'm sure you all remember where you were that Saturday afternoon, that hot Saturday afternoon, when the shot heard across Long Island was fired at 7-11 of overtime. You remember the 5 future Hall of Famers who played on that team, and the team and the men who went by the name of Radar, who coached them. You remember the guys who may have never had the same talent as some of the others, but played each game with the heart of a lion and never skated away from hockey's broadest of bullies. All of this was the beginning of one of hockey's greatest dynasties, and it all happened right here at the Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum, May 24th, 1980. And before we meet the New York Islanders of that era, and their very first Stanley Cup team, we would like to take you back to Game 6 of the 1980 Stanley Cup Finals, the New York Islanders, the Philadelphia Flyers.
Power play goal with a 2-man. Finelli from the corner, centering it, tipped away from Trottier, a backhander, Wilson, the scramble, the puck is in, it's a goal! The Flyers Sutter scored! Brian Sutter hit the roof, and it's 2-1 Islanders. by Clark. Tonelli centering it. They score! Bob Nystrom. There's Nystrom and Tonelli celebrating.
Well, what a big goal for the Islanders.
Oh, with Clark, Gillies, and Holmgren. The gloves are off. The two heavyweights. They were going to get minor penalties, and now they'll get more. Gillies and Holmgren. Two giants. Inning. Pass right on the stick of Tonelli. Coming in with Nystrom. Tonelli to Nystrom. He scores! Bob Nystrom scores the goal. The Islanders win the Stanley Cup.
Well, Bob Nystrom has the habit of getting overtime goals. Left into the bag.
Let him yell. Let him enjoy the moment. Well, to a man, the Flyers are gathered around Pete Peters. What a tough stop for him. Is on the ice, and there it is.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, are you ready to meet the 1980 Stanley Cup champion New York Islanders? I direct your attention to the Islander player entrance. He was the first employee of the Islanders and was with the franchise for 2 decades, leading the team from a record of 12 wins, 60 losses, and 6 ties in their first season to a run of championships that has gone unequaled in professional sports in the past 25 years. Rightly known as the architect, he's a member of the Hockey Hall of Fame. His famed bow tie is right up here in the rafters in the Nassau Coliseum. Retired in 2001, the general manager, Bill Torrey. Bill Torrey needed 2 coaches to get through that first season. He needed only 1 to get through the next 14. A 4-time Stanley Cup winner as a player, he was the first coach to lead a U.S.-based team to 4 championships. He won 739 regular season games for the Islander franchise and 119 more in the playoffs. A Hockey Hall of Famer, his victory total up there as well. Here is Al Arbour. While his role as director of scouting led him to find many Islander stars, he also recommended that the Islanders hire Al Arbour as coach. He holds 3 Stanley Cup rings from the Islanders, 3 more from the Detroit Red Wings, and 6 more from various minor league teams. Please welcome the man we call Jimmy D, Jimmy Devillano. He spent 10 seasons on Long Island and served as the Islanders' head trainer during the Stanley Cup years. This June, he will be inducted into the Pro Hockey Trainers Hall of Fame, along with Islander equipment manager Jim Pickard. He's been off Long Island since 1984, but we're delighted to welcome him back tonight, the head trainer, Ron Waskey. My sincere thanks to Eric Hornick of Fox Sportsnet, the statistician, for his research and use of his files on the introductions of these players. And ladies and gentlemen, this one was the first player ever to be reacquired by the Islanders. He played for both the 72-73 team and again in 1979 and 80. He's one of only two Islander defensemen to ever record 70 points in a season, tallying 72 in 1975-76. He was doing the radio broadcast when the Islanders won that first cup and stayed there for the better part of the next decade. Number 3, Jean Potvin. And Potsy, if you would. John just said, I'm going to take care of my old coach. We have something a little special for Jean and Radar. That is actually the seat that John had on the bench for most games. A dependable defenseman, he holds 2 Stanley Cup rings from the New York Islanders. On March 11th, he scored the winning goal versus Colorado, a win that began the club's season-ending 12-game unbeaten streak. He was credited with the series-winning goal against the Buffalo Sabres in 1980, a win that propelled the Islanders into the finals for the first time in their history. All in all, not bad for the Islanders' final draft choice in 1973, number 4, Bob Lorimer. Perhaps the only New York Islander to ever be honored with a standing ovation in Philadelphia. In 3 months, he went from Olympic gold to Stanley Cup silver. No defenseman in the history has scored more playoff overtime goals. He had 3 of them, including a winner in Game 3 against the Kings in 1980. A 4-time Stanley Cup champion, he is still a member of the family as the Islanders' Director of Pro Scouting. Number 6, Kenny Morrill. One of the first Islanders to be raised in Sweden and the only 14th round selection in Islander draft history. He played his entire NHL career for the New York Islanders. He's 6th on the Islanders' all-time playoff assist list and scored 6 of his 7 playoff goals while on the power play. It was his power play goal that tied Game 1 of the 1980 finals in the final minutes and was one of 7 points he recorded in that series against the Flyers. Number 7, Stefan Persson. In the first round of the 1980 playoffs, he scored the series-winning goal against the Kings. In the second round against Boston, he scored a goal in the final minutes, sent that first game into overtime, and part of that historic brawl with the Bruins in the second game. A hit, a fight, a clutch goal now and then, and oh yes, Proving the apple doesn't far fall from the tree, his son Cody, a United States Marine, found Saddam hiding in a bunker too. Ladies and gentlemen, the toy tiger, number 8, Gary Howitt. He was the second captain in Islander history and the 5th player to have his uniform number retired. He scored the overtime goal to win Game 1 against Boston and scored the series winner against the Bees in Game 5. Of course, on and off the ice, he ranks 4th in Islander history in goals, assists, and points. One of 6 Islander first-round draft picks that we honor tonight, his number was raised to the Coliseum in 1996. He was inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame in 2002. Number 9, Clark Gillies. He was the first man to play for and coach the Islanders. For many years, he teamed with my broadcast partner, Ed Westfall, in forming one of the best pair of penalty killers in the NHL. An original New York Islander, he scored 3 shorthanded goals in 1980 to gain a share of the NHL record, which still stands today. His 5 career playoff shorthanded goals will share the Islander club record. And at 5:40 p.m. on May 24th, having replaced an injured Wayne Merrick, he started the play and earned an assist on the cup-winning goal, number 10, Lorne Henning. The Islanders were struggling early in the 1979-80 season, so on November 30th, the Islanders brought this player up from junior hockey. In his first NHL game, he scored 2 goals and added an assist. He never saw the farm again. A 4-time Stanley Cup champion, he scored the tying goal, set up the winning goal that sent the Bruins home in the 80 playoffs. He later scored a key goal in Game 6 of the finals against the Flyers. Number 12, Wayne Sutter. A 1976 Islander first-round draft choice. He was a vital role player when the Islanders won their first Stanley Cup. In the early morning hours on April 13, 1980, he celebrated the 40th anniversary of New York's last Stanley Cup by scoring his first 2 goals as an Islander and adding an assist, all in the 3rd period as the Islanders eliminated the Kings. Number 17, Alex McHenry. The Coliseum Raptors were not complete until this number was raised in 2001. He's the Islanders' all-time leader in assists and points. Best of all, the 1980 Conn Smythe Trophy winner. And by the time the 1980 playoffs were over, he'd recorded a league-leading 12 goals and 29 points. He is a member of the Hockey Hall of Fame, number 19, Brian Trottier. The Islanders were 31-28-9 when he joined the team in early March, a trade that became the final piece of the Islanders' championship puzzle. Following his arrival, the Islanders finished the regular season with a 12-game unbeaten streak. Many fans will remember him as number 91, a reversal of the digits he wore in Los Angeles. But in the 1980 Cup run, he wore number 21, Butch Scoring. The Islanders' all-time leading goal scorer, the 1982 Conn Smythe Trophy winner and a Calder Trophy winner as well. He recorded 573 goals in only 752 games. He led the Islanders with 11 points in the 1980 finals, including a share of the finals record with 4 power play goals. The only player in the last 80 years to score cup-winning goals in consecutive seasons, inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame in 1991. His number is up there in the rafters, number 22, Mike Bossy. One of the most popular players to ever wear a New York Islanders uniform, and not just because he scored that goal at 7-11 of overtime. His cup-winning tally was his second overtime goal of 1980, and he also beat Buffalo with a double overtime score. His uniform number also hangs in the rafters here, and most people refer to him simply as Mr. Islander, number 23, Bob Nystrom. He was a mid-season acquisition coming from the Washington Capitals and added tremendous toughness to the Islanders' back line. He scored a goal in his very first playoff game in which he ever appeared and led the NHL playoffs with 85 penalty minutes in 1980. Also a club record that still stands today. He's one of the 16 Islanders with 4 Stanley Cup rings. Number 24, Gord Lane. In the early 1980s, the best hitter in New York didn't play at Yankee Stadium or Shea Stadium. He played right here. A member of all 4 Islander championships teams, he delighted fans and tormented opponents with his hard-hitting play. Drafted by the Islanders in 1974, he was one of only 4 players from that draft to play on the cup-winning team. They called him the Bammer. Number 26, Dave Langevin. To understand his Islander career, you need to realize that it was his pass that led to Bob Nystrom's Stanley Cup winning goal. Yet he scored 3 goals in 1982 that were nearly as famous. He still shares the Islander club record with 5 goals in one game, holds the club records for goals, assists, and points in one season by a left winger, number 27, Johnny Tonelli. Stefan Persson, he was the first European trained player to have his name inscribed on the Stanley Cup. Among his 12 career playoff goals were 5 shorthanded tallies and an overtime winner against Washington in 1984. He is now an Islander scout in Europe. Number 28, Anders Keller. The greatest big game goaltender of all time. He finished his playoff career with a record of 88-36, including a 57-13 record during the Islanders' 4 cup seasons. He won 304 regular season games for the Islanders, inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame in 1993, the same year his uniform number was retired and raised to the Coliseum rafters. The last of the original Islanders, number 31, Bill Smith. I must acknowledge 5 individuals who couldn't be with us tonight for various reasons. Assistant coach Billy McMillan, number 1 Glenn Chico Resch, number 11 Wayne Merrick, number 14 Bob Bourne, and number 16 Steve Tambellini, who all had prior commitments and unable to attend. Oh, there is one more. He had to make a stop to pick up an old friend on his way. He was the first draft pick in the 1973 NHL draft, and by the time he retired, he had rewritten the NHL record book for defensemen. He was named captain of the franchise in October of 1979, the first player to have his uniform number retired by the team, elected to the Hockey Hall of Fame in 1991, a three-time Norris Trophy winner. He was the captain of the last sports dynasty of the 20th century, number 5, Denny Potvin and Lord Stanley. Ladies and gentlemen, these are your New York Islanders 1980 Stanley Cup champions. Over to the architect. Ladies and gentlemen, the general manager, Bill Torrey.
Thank you, Jigs. This is some special night. You know, as you look back and think of how we started here in Long Island in 1972, we didn't start out too good. We struggled. But each year we got better. We worked harder. When I got my friend Al to come here and we started to turn the corner with the help of Jimmy D and a good scouting department, we started to bring in the players. They got better and better every year, and they got better for a lot of reasons. First of all, they wanted to get better. They wanted to win, and they wanted to give you fans who kept us going when things weren't always that good. It's easy when you're winning. It's tough some nights when things aren't going well. But when we fell down, Al and the players picked themselves up, and you were there with the support and the encouragement that we needed. It was a special relationship then. It's a special relationship tonight, and it always will be. These guys were special talents, but they're special people too. And the last 24 hours, we've all had a chance to renew and realize just what made this team what it was and what it still is. So I say to you, sometimes you're down, but if you stick together, work together, it can turn around, and it will turn around. on behalf of the players, I want to publicly thank Mike Milbury and his staff. No. They made this night possible. They brought us back. And to Charles Wong, who wants this team to win so bad. He needs your support, and I know he will get it. And on behalf of all of us that are down here tonight on the ice, we want to thank the present Islander staff, ownership, players, and coaches, and we wish them nothing but the very best. All of us down here on the ice want to see this team succeed. Last but not least, I want to thank you. You're the best. This is a special relationship that we all feel when we come back into this building. That'll never change. Thanks so much. Let's have a great night. And now I want to turn it over to my old buddy, Radar, the coach, Al Arbour.
I'll try to be very brief here, but first of all, I would like to introduce Jimmy Devolato that scouted a lot of our players here, and Ron Waskey that took care of all these players here. And I'd also like to mention Jimmy Pick that's in the hospital in Tampa, and Jerry even in the hospital in Saskatoon. Our prayers are with them also. If you look at this team here, this is really something special for me. Each and every individual player, and I know it's something special to you also. It is a great team, and to describe them is very tough. They were individuals off the ice, but when they showed up at the rink, they were a team, and they played for each other, and they cared about each other, and they didn't want to let each other down. That's why they were very successful, and for that I'll never forget them, because they were part of my life, and a very big part of mine, and a very big part of yours. And all you fans here that made it possible, thank you so very much for being supportive in all those years. I know the Islanders having a tough time now, but don't bail out on them. They'll be back. Thank you very much. Good luck.
How many cups? Who sucks? Those Ranger fans will never get it. They keep, even when I'm there, they keep yelling, Potvin's cups. There's only one team in the history of the game that's won 19 consecutive playoff series. There's only one team that would travel continents to come together for one night. There'll never be another team like the 1980 New York Islanders. We are a family as tight as the fingers of the palm of my hand. Thank you all for coming. All of you fans have made it a great experience for us today. But I think all of us who wear the jersey tonight look back on two people who are very, very important to us. When I talk about family, sometimes we felt like children, sometimes abused, sometimes not. But the men that made it happen, Bill Torrey and Al Arbour, will always have our eternal respect and love. Thank you. And in closing, all of you who stood out there today for that procession we had, thank you so much. It made all of our children appreciate what we had back in the early 80s, and it'll never quite happen the same way again. Thank you, Mr. Wong. Thank you, New York Islanders organization. Mike Bilberry, we appreciate it very much. And now, guys, we're going to invite you to have one more team picture taken with the Stanley Cup. When they rolled down Hempstead Turnpike at that first Stanley Cup parade. It's no surprise that 3 more parades would follow, so we'd like to try it one more time around the Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum. Here come your Stanley Cup champion, 1980 New York Islanders.
As if there weren't enough on-ice memories conjured up tonight, Joe. Bringing these trucks out really does take you back to the Stanley Cup parades they had 4 years running here on Long Island, around the area where the building is, and then up to Hempstead Turnpike. And it was unique. You know, we're used in this area when teams win championships. Generally, it's in Midtown Manhattan where you have the big ticker tape parade, really in lower Manhattan, but certainly that was not going to happen here. This was very much a Long Island experience all those years, and so was the parade, and there was a hominess about it that that really makes this entire experience unique.
This was some kind of night, and we're just only beginning. I mean, the start of the night has been absolutely fantastic. Do you think any of these people have forgotten? Not one of them. I mean, we saw standing ovations, and I'll tell you what, Howie, well deserved. I sat here and watched this thing, and I thought back to the days when I was playing against these guys, and I remember, trying, looking at their team back in those days, and we thought we were getting better, but they were the team in the league that everybody tried to reach, and everybody said, we need better centers, we need better defensemen, we need more toughness, we need, I mean, they were the pinnacle.
in the National Hockey League for those years, and that was what everybody was trying to get to.
And I'm interested to hear your take on this. I'm glad you brought that up specifically, because when the Flyers won a couple of Stanley Cups, it was in vogue to get tough. And when the Canadians were winning Stanley Cups, it was in vogue to have speed. Really later on the same with the Edmonton Oilers. But with the Islanders, there was not one specific facet of the game that singularly identified them, was there? And so that must have made it so much harder to try and duplicate that for other organizations.
Yeah, no, it wasn't just the great goaltending that Bill Smith gave them. It wasn't just that Denny Potvin could beat you so many different ways, including on the power play or killing a penalty or with a tremendous hip check to change the flow of the game around. It wasn't just that Mike Bossy, you had to watch him every second he was on the ice, and even when you did watch him, he could still score from just about any place. It wasn't just that Brian Trottier was maybe the best two-way center in the history of hockey. It wasn't just that Clark Gillies could not only take you and do what he wanted with you, but also score the odd goal. What a team. What a franchise.
And not only do they still enjoy each other's camaraderie, they relish in the fans' presence here at Nassau Coliseum, a sold-out house and a mutual salute for a dynasty that began on May 24th, 1980, and is being saluted tonight. We'll have more right after this.
Garden State brick face, windows and siding makes for
A scene outside the Coliseum starting at 6 o'clock tonight. Bill Torrey led the Walk of Champions, followed by Al Arbour from the Marriott Hotel straight into the Coliseum. And I have yet to hear an exact, I guess there can't be an exact estimate, but a working estimate of how many people were out there. But from all accounts, from those who were, it was absolutely packed. And this continued with every member of the organization who is being honored tonight being led in front of his placard. I mean, we're told several thousand. We don't have an exact count, but it was quite a unique scene. Dennis Potvin was part of it, and he's downstairs now with Deb Kaufman.
There he is holding the Stanley Cup, the captain from 1979 to 1987 of all four of these Cup teams. And what has the last couple of days been like?
It's been fantastic. I mean, I really wanted to thank the Islander organization. Everything has worked so smoothly. And in so many of these situations, you know, sometimes we feel like we've been taken advantage of, or it doesn't run smoothly, or they're not taking care of our wives or families. That's not the case here. Everything was well planned out, well thought out, and I'm thrilled to be part of it. It's been great.
What's it like to see all the guys?
That is the best. I mean, Mr. Wong told some of us today that, you know, he'd like us to feel more at home here and to come back more often. I'd say 3 or 4 times a year like this would be great.
Now, we all remember the Bobby Nystrom goal, but you guys had to beat L.A., you had to beat Boston, you had to beat Buffalo and Philadelphia. What do you remember about the long playoff run?
Interestingly enough, Alex McKendry was a big star in the series against L.A. Without Alex's 2 goals in the last game, we may not have beaten L.A. the very first round. Then we moved to Boston, and you know how tough and how obviously important Clark Gillies and Bobby Nystrom were in that series. Then we moved on to Buffalo. Bobby Nystrom scored overtime goal, and then Philly again. You know, what can we say? It was one of those series that was outstanding. So in every one of the series, every one of the cups, different stars emerged, whether they were John Tonelli against Pittsburgh, that crucial Game 5, Kenny Morrow scoring against the Rangers, overtime Game 5. The memories are fresh.
All right, well, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your night.
Thank you very much.
All right, the captain scored an overtime game winner in Game 1 against Philadelphia that really got the Stanley Cup final started. He called it the crowning moment of a career after a difficult year. Mike Bossy in the headline, and look who's here. Mike Bossy in the Islanders dressing room. What a memorable morning skate it was today. And there is the captain surrounded by Brian Trottier and Mike Bossy, as almost 5,000 season ticket holders got a chance to watch Billy Smith and the Islanders from that 1980 Cup team get together with the guys. How about the owner, Charles Wong, taking a picture of Mike Milbury's kids with the cup? And Brad Lukowich knows Lorne Henning well. He was the best man in Brad's dad's wedding. Chris Campoli, Bobby Nystrom, and here are the Islanders now taking the ice. That's a live picture of today's Islanders getting ready to face the Philadelphia Flyers, and it's only fitting, John Tonelli, that the Islanders will be playing Philadelphia tonight because you won the Stanley Cup against them. What has the last 24 hours been like for you?
It's been absolutely sensational. For the first time, I saw everybody last night at our private function. Got to see how everybody aged beautifully. And, we all look pretty good, and it's nice to see everybody.
What do you remember most from those days?
I remember the special things that each and every one of us contributed to the team as a cohesive effort. The special chemistry that we had and we all contributed to.
Well, you all scored overtime goals. I mean, there wasn't one guy that scored them all, and you excelled in overtime. What was it about overtime?
There was a feeling in our dressing room, and we always asked ourselves this question: who's going to get it? It's like a challenge to each and every one of us.
And how is it to see Coach Arbour?
Phenomenal. Just everything that's ever been said about it is so true. He really was a father figure to us, and he taught us a lot of lessons, not only on the ice, but in the real world.
All right, well, we're so pleased to see you tonight. Enjoy the rest of the celebration.
Thank you, Deb.
All right. So what a night it's been so far. And as we mentioned, we're going to hear from Mike Bossy and Brian Trottier. Howie and Joe will have a chance throughout the rest of the night during the game to go over it all. And how about the series that got the Islanders there? 4-game series against LA. It was best of 5 then, and the Islanders won it 3-1. And then against the Boston Bruins, Clark Gillies went at it with Terry O'Reilly twice in that game. And the Islanders only needed 5 games against the Bruins. Bob Bourne scored a game winner there, but 3 of the 5 went to overtime. And then it was the Buffalo Sabres. The Islanders again needed 6 games. They won it 4-2. And then it was Philadelphia, Game 1. The game winner in overtime was the captain, Dennis Potvin. And then here it is, Game 6. And the shot heard round the world. Bobby Nystrom won the Stanley Cup. Clark Gillies is the best power forward that the Islanders have ever had. He's a part of the celebration. You're back all the time. But what has the last couple of days meant to you, seeing all these guys that you don't always get to see?
Oh, it's been great, Deb. We've had so much fun. Last night we were over at the Garden City Hotel. Most of the stuff we were telling was made up, I think, because most of the guys can't remember what happened way back then. But we had a really good time, and just telling stories and getting reacquainted. I haven't seen some of these guys in 15 to 20 years, and it was really nice to be together again.
As much as you can remember, what's the best part about those days?
Well, I've always said, the best part about my hockey career was the guys that I was associated with. The players were everything to me. I used to love practice in the locker room much more than I liked the games, but it was just the camaraderie that we had, and fortunately we were able to be together for so many years, all of us. I think last count, I think we had 14 guys who were on all 4 Stanley Cups. So just the relationships, and these guys are my best buddies. The friendships that we developed over time will never ever go away.
All right, well, I know you don't like to talk about it, but the way that you were able to be as tough as you were on the ice helped the Islanders win those cups. Go enjoy the rest of your night.
Thanks, Deb. Appreciate it.
All right, Clark Gillies, a big reason why the Islanders won 4 cups. When we come back, a very special Behind the Bench. As Clark Gillies races the Stanley Cup, the head coach, Al Arbour, 793 career wins. He's with Howie Rose after this.
Geico Islanders Game Night is presented by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% on car insurance. Visit us at geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO.
Tonight, if we're going to do justice to Al Arbour, the coach of the 4-time Stanley Cup champions, but I guess when you've just got a few minutes, you take what you can. And Al, you've been in this building before to be honored, your banners hanging from the rafters, but given the circumstances tonight, is there a unique feeling that maybe you've never had in this place before?
I'd have to say so. It's a different feeling altogether. I was walking by the corridors today and reminiscing, and you could hear the crowd noise and everything else. It's just unbelievable to remember some of the things that happened in this building. We had so many great things happen. Some bad things too, but most of them were great things, and you just want to remember the great things.
When you reminisce, do you think about the same stuff we do? Because we've got a bunch of highlights that maybe some of you haven't seen in a long time, but they all string together for that 1980 championship. And when you watch some of these, like Kenny Morrow's goal against Los Angeles, which won a big game in that first series in overtime, maybe that's a little more obscure over the years now because you don't see this as much.
No, the funny thing is I never really watched the playoff games after they were over. I've never looked at a tape since once the games are over.
So does this look familiar?
It looks familiar, yes, very familiar. I'll tell you, and this looks familiar too.
That was the turning point, wasn't it?
Well, I think so. We knew that Boston was going to challenge us. And, Nystrom and Gillies and Howie and all these guys got together and they said, they're not going They're not going to push us around. We can play any way they want, and we play that way. And I think it gave the players extra confidence for us to win.
These are all overtime winners. Nystrom against Buffalo, that was the first game of the finals, and this, of course, was the ultimate. Why did you guys own overtime the way you did?
Well, I think it's like the last game when we played Philadelphia. Before the third period, we were very uptight. And going into overtime, I kind of had that feeling that we were going to win. We just played looser than overtime because I always told the players, we're going to go after it. As long as the chance is 60-40 in our behalf, we're going for it. No foolish gambling. If it's 60-40, we're going for it. And somebody in here, in this room, is going to be the hero.
Well, it usually was somebody else, too, which was the big thing.
That's true.
Well, but what's interesting about your team is that there really is almost a story within the story of how these young players develop, because so many of them came up together and stayed together, and they seem to improve bit by bit every year, and that doesn't always happen with young players. Was there a philosophy or an approach that you had with youngsters that helped make that happen?
Well, you know, at the beginning it was a little tough till you get the nucleus of your team prepared. And after a while, when a young player would join our team, they would say, look at this four-eyed guy with the glasses. He's a little tough and he's a little nuts. So whatever he says, you better do it because you won't be around very long. So these guys really helped me tremendously. So our team was very disciplined, and they had every one of them had character, and character is a big thing.
What did you do the night you won the first cup?
I was so tired. I think we went. We had a celebration for maybe an hour, and I went home.
Oh, don't tell me you went to sleep at 10 o'clock at night.
I couldn't fall asleep. No, I couldn't fall asleep, but we went to bed fairly early, but I couldn't sleep.
Al, before we let you go, I've got to thank this man for something that I really should have done publicly a long time ago, but Al's first year as the coach of the Islanders was 73-74. That was the second year of the franchise. I was a 19-year-old sophomore at Queens College, and the Islanders were kind enough to give me credentials to cover some of the home games. So I would bring my tape recorder up to the press box and do the play-by-play and then do some interviews after the game. And Al never, ever once turned me down for a one-on-one interview. And you treated me no differently than you did guys who had been on the beat for 20-odd years covering hockey. And that instilled confidence in me that, you know, maybe I was getting into the right business. And I, A, have to thank you for that, and B, can only imagine the effect that you had on young players, instilling confidence in them if you can have that kind of effect on someone who didn't even play for you.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that very much. I haven't had too many of those players tell me good things about myself.
Well, that's the thing. I never played.
I know. You're lucky. You're one of the few, lucky few.
But, you know, again, the point is that, you know, you had guys who came up together and just got a little bit better and a little bit better. Did it ever dawn on you 2 or 3 years before the Cup what was possible, or did it take the Goring trade to make it happen?
You know, I knew the second year, once our team started to come together, how some of the younger kids were really improving and how dedicated they really were. I had a feeling that second year that, you know, we had something going here. I couldn't put my finger on it, but I knew that the inner confidence that the players had, and I knew the character of each and every player we had. And you could just see, and after Christmas, I'll tell you, we gave everybody a real rough time. When they came in our building, if they beat us, they knew they were in a hockey game. We didn't hand the game over to them.
Well, they used to call this place Fort Never Lose. That was Bill Gallo from the Daily News who coined that phrase, and this is a man who had so much to do with making it happen. Al, great to see you. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.
The coach of the four-time champions, and something he got very well acquainted with over those years.
Hockey stick. There are few things that compare. It's hitting a home run to win the World Series. It was an epic moment in sports. It was Bobby Nystrom's goal that won a Stanley Cup.
I dreamt about it and thought about it a lot. I mean, even from the standpoint of being a hero, you know, like being a police officer or a fireman or saving somebody. I mean, I always wanted to be a hero. So when you're put in that situation, you know, it's a thrill of a lifetime.
Check by Goring. Gillies jumped it in. 4 seconds. It's going to be overtime. The tension will continue until one goal decides this one.
We were pretty down. I mean, we really were down after the third period because we were congratulating each other after the second. I personally went back into the stick room. I always used to sit in there. And, you know, the funny thing was I went and borrowed a scalpel. And I tell this story, people think I'm crazy, but I was just sitting in there just kind of biding the time, you know, like it's very tough to just sit, you know, and just wait. So I was in there and I was actually carving you know, just a chunk out of my stick, and I said, you know, this is going to be my winning goal. I'm going to win this, you know. And I'm sure that everyone else thought the same thing, because that's kind of the attitude that we have. And then I heard in the locker room, who's going to be the hero? And that was another thing that always happened. Who's going to be the guy that's going to win it? And everyone would chime in, hey, I'm going to win it, I'm going to win it, I'm going to win it. You know, we believed that we were going to win. And you know what? We always had a saying, hell bent for leather. Let's go at them, let's get this over with. Slowed down, you know, because, well, maybe it didn't slow down. It's just that I thought of so many things before the puck even came to me as to what I was going to do with it.
Tonelli to Nystrom!
Oh, man, the thought went through my head. Thank God I didn't deke, you know, I probably would have lost it.
He scored!
When I saw it deflect and I saw that it was going up high, it seemed like Peters was a little bit slow to react. I think he thought Johnny T was maybe going to shoot. And I could watch it, and I saw it. I said, this definitely is going to go over him. And I knew that it was going in.
Nystrom scores the goal. The Islanders win the Stanley.
As soon as the puck went in, I heard. And in looking at photographs after the fact, you could see the fans behind the net where the camera angle was, where they were kind of up, and then they were up. And then I could just hear them pounding on the glass. That's one of the beautiful things about overtime, is that when the puck goes in the net, it's done. They can't come back. You know, the game is over. And that was my feeling at that time. And then, you know, the exhilaration when I saw the boys coming and to congratulate me, then it was, you know, exhilaration and happiness. And, man, we got this monkey off our back.
Tonelli to Nystrom! He scored!
It allowed me to give my teammates something that they always wanted, you know. And believe me, I always consider myself a journeyman player and you know, blue collar, hard working, and I rode their coattails a lot. And it was an opportunity for me to give them a goal that brought the Stanley Cup. And I've heard a million things about where people were when I scored that goal. So, I mean, it just changed my life that way. People remember me here, probably more so than a lot of other players. And for that, I'm very thankful.
The one-of-a-kind tournament that could save you 15% on car insurance. Visit us at geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO.
They have all been introduced, and they have all carried the Stanley Cup. I'm Deb Kaufman in our Islanders studio, and we're continuing our special coverage on Geico Islanders game night of this anniversary celebration of the 1980 Stanley Cup team. Now, the Islanders of today have had a chance to spend quite a bit of time with members from that 1980 team, including this morning at the skate when the guys were all introduced and came out on the ice with the Stanley Cup. A lot of the younger players of today have a lot of reverence for the older players who came before them. The fact that they won as a group 19 consecutive playoff series. We talked to some of the younger guys about the Islanders from 1980, beginning with the head coach.
They had top to bottom as much depth and as much resiliency as a team as any team in that era that they played against, and they could beat you a lot of different ways. They could beat you up, and they can put pucks in the net, and they could wear you down. I think what they did better than other teams was play a great team game.
This organization has, you know, set a level, and basically, you know, every other team that comes along gets, you know, put up against these guys here, and then now to actually meet them and see them and talk to them in person, it's a great opportunity for the guys.
Mike Bossy walked in the dressing room. I was like, holy smokes, Mike Bossy, like, you know, everyone knows who Mike Bossy is. So it's just an unbelievable experience, you know, for them, but for us as well. It's pretty cool. I just met Brian Trottier. Like, you know, these guys are the regular people, they paved the way, especially in Long Island, winning the first Stanley Cup and then the next 3. So it's a special time, and it'll be special for the fans, and it's special for the players as well.
Chris Campoli's face lighting up. They could play a finesse game. They could play a tough game. They could play it any way you wanted to play. Today's Islanders will get ready for today's Flyers when we come back right after this. It's been a day-long celebration that has taken us into the night. There's Bobby Nystrom in the dressing room, Brian Trottier hanging out with Chris Campoli. What a thrill for some of the young Islanders to get to hang out with some of these older Islanders who are back to celebrate the 1980 Stanley Cup. One of the most memorable morning skates in the history of the Coliseum. You can see all the fans in the stands. This was this morning as Gillies held up the cup and then treated to a hero's welcome. Arbour and the contingent of Islanders made their way from the Marriott to the Coliseum. Billy Smith, the best big game goaltender in NHL history, the 1980 team that will always live together. There's Gillies and Mark Parrish in the dressing room before the game. And there he is, the hero from Game 6 against the Flyers. If Bill Torrey was the architect, Arbour was the builder, and he got a well-deserved seat as the rest of the team was introduced. And there is the captain. He was the captain for all 4 Stanley Cup teams, but the first one is always special. And as he said during the ceremony, there will never be another team like this one, the 1980 team. Paraded around the ice as the ceremony came to a conclusion, as they paraded after each of their Stanley Cups, and then one final team picture as we get ready now to drop the puck. We're so glad you've been with us for a very special night at the Coliseum. I'm Deb Kaufman, and isn't it fitting that the Islanders are playing the Philadelphia Flyers, the team that they eliminated in 6 games in the Stanley Cup Finals. And fitting, it's the 6th game of the season between the Islanders and the Flyers, so that number has some special significance. Here are some other numbers that the Islanders are paying attention to. They're 8 points behind the Montreal Canadiens, who right now are holding on to the 8th and final playoff spot. And if these Islanders want to win a Stanley Cup someday, they need to jump into the playoff race. Howie Rose and Joe Michelletti, with fond memories of that 1980 Stanley Cup team, would like to write a few memories with this team as we get ready to call this one. Let's go upstairs.
You know something, Deb? It's a little hard sometimes to let go of the past and get back to the here and now. But in this case, they're really intertwined. You saw the footage of the Islander players from 1980 meeting today's Islanders, and I'm sure it made quite an impact on the contemporaries.
I will say this, Deb said fond memories. Not fond memories if you had to play against them and you were trying to win, and that was the problem that a lot of teams had, including us in St. Louis, that they were so difficult to beat because, as we've talked and we keep kind of rehashing, but it's worth rehashing the fact that they could beat you in so many different ways. And one of the great coaches of all time, and Arbour, so great to see him. And what a special night this has been. I mean, this is just, I kind of wish they weren't playing the game. You just sit back and,
big boy, we still have to work.
Let it go, let it go the way it has. It's been tremendous, and the game should be great because I know both teams are fired up.
Yeah, don't forget the Islanders are coming off of a very important win against the New Jersey Devils 2 nights ago. They won it in the shootout.
Well, Rick DiPietro made 2 great saves in the shootout. The first one on Kozlov, and then this play right here by Miro Shatan. It looked like he lost the puck, was able to regather it and then score the big goal. And then DiPietro just outweighted John Madden, and then this was the clincher. Off the left leg and then through the legs of Marty Brodeur, and that was a victory that was well-deserved. I mean, the Islanders played so well, played so hard, and this was a game where they deserved to win. And the only reason I think that it went to overtime and then went to the shootout was because of the great goaltending of Brodeur.
So goaltending perhaps a common thread, not only from today to the past and the last game as well against New Jersey, but with all of these Islander greats of the past on hand here today, they know one thing: if you're going to win and win big, so often it comes down to the goaltending. And don't the Islanders know it? DiPietro leads the Islanders against the Flyers next.
on Long Island, the anniversary of the 1980 Stanley Cup championship team. We do want to let you know that Mike Bossy will be a guest with Howie and Joe later in the night, and so will Brian Trottier. So we'll be talking to these guys as the night goes along, a chance to tell some more stories and recall some more moments from that year. But for now, we talked to some of the 1980 team this morning about what has meant so much to them about this reunion.
Last night we had a little session of old stories, and that was unbelievably humorous and brought back a lot of memories, a lot of fond memories.
We criticized Al Arbour a little bit. It's kind of nice now that you can criticize him and not be benched, but it was fun. We had a great time. Charles is so far has put an unbelievable weekend together for us.
I laughed, so I almost cried in my eye. It was so much fun to listen to all the stories. I mean, some of the stories that you forgot most of them, but when they tell them, I mean, you just laugh so bad about it. So it's such a good time to listen to. Really good.
It's a great thrill, you know, because I've got guys like Bobby and I and Clark Gillies that I see, you know, maybe 2 or 3 times a year, but guys like Anders Kalur and from Sweden and over there, I haven't seen for 25, 26 years, so that's great.
Yeah, Stefan Persson is one of the players that a lot of the guys were saying they hadn't seen in a really long time. And as Dennis Potvin said during the ceremony, what other team would travel so many continents to get together for just one night? They've had a couple of great days. And just hearing the stories around the last couple of days, the things about Al Arbour, the dignified coach that he was, and some of the individual things that he would do, he treated all the players very differently. Some coaches try to treat all their players the same. They all say he treated them all very differently. He really knew which buttons to push and what worked with what guys. Including who to be harder on than others, but it was so nice to see him and nice to see Bill Torrey, who has been back a couple of times. So we heard from Billy Smith in that piece there. How about the New York Lottery goaltending matchups for this game? And Rick DiPietro will be in there for the Islanders again tonight. He played very well in his first start back since the Olympics in the shootout win against the Devils. And Antti Niittymaki, who had quite a run in the Olympics, playing for the Finnish team, will get the start in goal for the Flyers tonight. Niittymaki went all the way to the gold medal game, and representing Team Sweden, they won the silver medal. He played great. They had 3 shutouts during those couple of weeks. Our hip injury report, we want to update you on some things as we get ready for the opening faceoff. Here's the latest. No Simone Gagne for the Flyers. He's been out for a while. Michael Handzus, Kim Janssen. Keith Primeau's out, we think, for the rest of the year. And Chris Terrian still dealing with a head injury. The veteran defenseman for the Flyers is Keith Primeau definitely out for the rest of the year. And Chris Terrian, who's dealing with a head injury, is on our hip injury report as well. So we're getting ready for the opening faceoff between the Islanders and the Flyers. Some news to pass along. Sean Bergenheim is up with the Islanders, and he will be in the game tonight as Matthias Weinhandel was claimed off of waivers by the Minnesota Wild. So Matthias Weinhandel did participate in the morning skate, and about 12 o'clock noon got the word that he was moving teams, changing places, and he came back to get his skates and get his equipment and said some goodbyes. So it's taken us a while to get to the news of the night with everything that's been going on, but that's the latest as we get ready for the game tonight. So it'll be the Islanders and the Flyers, and again, the 6th meeting of the season between these two teams. Isn't it fitting, as Bobby Nystrom's goal at 7-11 of a Game 6 between the Islanders and the Flyers won this team their first of 4 Stanley Cups back on May 24th, 1980. The celebration will continue throughout the night as we get ready to drop the puck. It's Howie Rose and Joe Michelletti.
All right, Deb, thank you. And not only will we show you the Islanders and Flyers tonight, we will reminisce with some of the key components on the 1980 team, and we'll start that off tonight with Brian Trottier, the Conn Smythe Trophy winner. And Brian, you crack me up. We have seen you celebrate championships here on Long Island like a little kid. We have seen you slide on a rain-soaked tarp in Pittsburgh, celebrating Stanley Cups there. We saw you doing the same kind of emotional stuff when you were an assistant with the Colorado Avalanche, and they won the Stanley Cup. What is it, Brian, about winning that continues to bring out the little boy in you after all these years?
Well, when I was about 6, 7, 8 years old and I started playing hockey, I dreamed playing in the NHL, and I dreamed about winning Stanley Cup, and I was fortunate to be on great organizations, and good things happen. You need certain little bit of luck to go along with it, but it's great to be able to play with guys like Mike Bossy and Dennis Potvin. And that brings out that little boy memory in you. And I always say to, I wish when we won the first, second, third, fourth cup in New York, that I would have celebrated a little harder. But now I let my emotions go, and I just really think it's special to be able to connect to the fans, and the fans really, this is a great building, and it brings out the best of the emotions and the memories of me, and I just want to enjoy the moment.
Well, you certainly seem to do all of that. Did you guys ever give Bill Torrey the business about a bow tie the way the Flyers and even some of the Islanders appeared to be giving it to Brad Shaw just a moment ago?
Well, we talked to the coaches. I said, you guys are looking spiffy tonight. You guys are upgrading. They said, yeah, we're usually a motley-looking crew, but no, they're looking spiffy. I like it. Maybe start a new fad here, Howie.
Sean Bates trying to throw one across the goal mouth.
You know, it's interesting that the coaching staff, they were trying to find bow ties this morning, and back when they celebrated Bill Torrey night here, remember we had those bow ties, but they were the kind you didn't have to tie them. Just a clip-on bow tie. I said, go check with the Islanders. I said, they might have some of those around. They couldn't find any of those, so what Brad Shaw did this afternoon, he went to a tuxedo shop and they taught him how to tie those. He spent a half an hour so that he came back and not only could tie his own, but tied the bow ties of the assistant coaches as well. All in preparation for this night. There it is. That is
a heck of a job.
That is, I know.
Looking good, boys. Looking good.
He had to promise a couple of tickets to the young lady that showed him how to do that, but
it's always quid pro quo.
It took care of his assistant coaches as well.
Jack Capuano found one with the Islander logo, apparently from Bill Torrey night. So you're right, Joe. There were a couple hanging around. We're chatting with Brian Trottier 1:07 into the opening period here at the Coliseum. And when I think back to May 24th, 1980 in your first cup, there's one comment that you made afterwards that always resonates. And that is that you almost couldn't decide what you felt better about in the immediate aftermath. The fact that you won or the fact that it was over. Finally, can you even articulate what the grind was like?
Well, I'll try. There's 4 series. It is some of the games were back-to-back, and you have a day off, and you have to stay healthy. You got to avoid injury. There's travel. You get short night rest. But the high of the game, you find the energy. But the other team's the same way. The other team, you know, it's not like you're the only guy that's tired out there. Your teammates are tired. The other team is tired. It is exhausting. It's probably the most exhausting feeling I've ever felt. You know, you see clips of boxers, you know, going 15 rounds, Ali, Frazier, whatever, and they look like they have nothing left. That's how you feel. You're just totally exhausted.
You know, and you say try to stay healthy and get your rest and that type of thing. You were the type of player that played as good a two-way game as anybody in the history of the game. You played tough, you played hard, and you also could score and set up play. It had to be doubly tough, I would think. Doubly tough for the style that you played.
I like
to try and
talking to you
stay.
guys, John. Thank you very much.
Oh yeah. Are you in the Hall of Fame yet?
Thank you. That was really nice. I appreciate that. Well, you want to know something? Like for me, we never thought of it. We never thought of it that way. We're just trying to win hockey games. And like we were talking earlier about Mike Bossy and saying, you know, Mike, he took a lot of pride scoring goals, but he was underrated in playmaking. He was underrated in back checking. He was underrated in defensive zone coverage because the thing that everybody remembers is that he's a great goal scorer. And it's funny because people say, you know, you took body, you back-checked a little bit. Al called me a two-way player, and it stuck. And I say to myself, well, thanks, Al Arbour, because it was kind of him after one game that said, you know what, they were asking him about Wayne Gretzky and this, that, and another thing. He said, well, you know, I'll keep Brian Crouch. He's the best two-way player in the game right now.
What was the best lie that you heard last night at your banquet?
or that you told. No. Probably the best lie was walking in and somebody saying, God, you look like you can still play. I said, I don't think so. Good one.
You know, speaking of Al Arbour, as you did a moment ago, talking to him before, he was just so happy at everything that his young players accomplished as a group, virtually growing up together. Did Al treat, say, you differently than he did Dennis Potvin and maybe Dennis differently than he did Clark Gillies?
Probably. We just didn't realize it. You know, we're all just kids, and yeah, Al and Bill, you know, they treated us like young men. They didn't treat us like children. They treated us like young men with responsibilities, be dependable, be on time. You know, you're expected to like do community work. You're expected to be a good citizen. You're expected to, and that was good. They let us grow up. We made mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. But I'm sure like he was a little tougher on Dennis than he might have been on me. He was probably a little easier on some other guys but they knew what buttons to push. God bless them. they found the best in all of us and made everybody feel good about their role.
Did you feel that you had turned the corner when you beat Boston, as physical a series as that was, and the way that you initiated a lot of the physical play?
Well, it was unique, that whole playoff, but Boston was a real turning point because we answered the bell every time somebody, and Bobby Nystrom probably started it in Boston against John Wensing, and then it just escalated from there because every time somebody would even look sideways, guys would respond. Gary Howie, Clark Gillies, you know, with Terry O'Reilly, it just seemed to escalate every game. We didn't know what the next, you know, fisticuffs was going to be, and we felt like, you know what, they tried to intimidate us, and we just weren't intimidated. And to be able to, like, I guess, survive that kind of thing, it was a growing experience for us because people tried to, well, a long time after that. Even Philly came in, they said, you know what, we're going to try to intimidate you in the finals. And they just took penalties. And we found a way. Their power play was clicking and things were going well. So it's, in hindsight, we say there was every series had a special aspect of it. That Boston series was extremely physical. You know, we had a great skating series against the Buffalo Sabres. It was awesome.
You know, there are two sayings, if you will, that come to mind about that team. One, I think, was always up in your room. You said winning is fun, and you always talked about being afraid to lose. And the rest of the guys kind of adopted that also. But where did that fear to lose begin? Was it from losing some playoff series before the fact?
Yeah, we had lost to the Toronto Maple Leafs in '78 and the New York Rangers in '79, and we took it on the chin from the press, and we just really felt like we let down our fans. And we kind of like said to ourselves, you know what, let's kind of motivate ourselves through the fear of losing. And we used it when we had to. There was a time, I think, in Buffalo where we were down a couple goals, and I think Butchie stood up and said, hey boys, fear of losing. And I'll tell you, everybody just kind of like got goosebumps all of a sudden. You could see guys, oh yeah, tighten their skates and re-taping their stick. Is like, man, you could just feel the energy going in the dressing room.
You know, we've been talking about that team, and not only the '80 team, but you were together for a number of years, and all the great, you know, the different styles you could play to win. But in your eyes, what do you think was that team's greatest asset?
Bobby Nystrom said it best last night. He said, guys, you know, like, people always remember the team a certain way, and the identity of our team. Number one, he said, was character. Every guy had character. Everybody wanted to be dependable, find a way to contribute to the team. Great pride and honesty and effort. And I'll tell you, it's hard to look at any one guy on that team and say, Bobby's wrong. Bobby was 100% right. It was a character team, and you know, we grew up together. It was, you know, we had our good points. We had our trials and tribulations, like but we were a young team, and we could look each other in the eye at the end of a game. And guys knew, you know, if you had a shitty game, I mean, you just have to just own up to it and say, guys, I wasn't my best tonight.
By the way, looking at those two pictures, where have all the follicles gone? That's what 25 years does.
Yes, huh? yes. A little gray, a little balding, a little roundness.
Now, this morning I spent a little time with Ken Hitchcock, the Flyers coach, and he was talking about how that team, your team, most of those players were from Western Canada. So he said as he was coaching at that age, he was watching you guys kind of grow up and playing. And I said, what surprised you, if anything, of those players that you saw play junior hockey and then win the Stanley Cup? And he said not a lot. He said Brian Trottier, I didn't know he was that tough. And was that something? Did you change your game from junior or something to as you ascended to be the player that you were? I mean, because
I'll give you the short story of it. But I'm playing junior hockey, and Tiger Williams is my teammate. He's kind of my big brother. And about Christmas time, I want to quit because I'm just getting the crap kicked out of me every game. And Tiger said to me, he says, Brian, you better not fight very much because you're not very good at it. And he kind of taught me how to protect myself because I like the aggressive part of the game. He talked me into coming back into the game, and he was my left winger for the rest of that year. But we had a tough team. We had Tiger Williams, Terry Ruskowski. We had tough players, not big guys, but tough players, and they taught me how to be tough. take the licking, keep on ticking, keep going at the guy. Don't let him know he's intimidating you. Just keep playing your game, and I think that's a sense. That's a kind of tough. You know, you don't have to drop the gloves all the time, but you got to be able to like respond. And no matter how much you're getting hit, no matter how much they're trying to intimidate you. And the other thing is like, you know, they're trying to take you off the ice. They want to get you in the penalty box. So you got to be really tough and disciplined and not responding all the time or even retaliating. So that became kind of a mantra. And Al was really good at reminding all of us of that. But that came like through discipline and maturity too. Because when I was young, you know, we all got, you know, rambunctious, and we all got that in a little bit. I was ready to quit hockey, but I think toughness is just being able to like get out there and pay the price, make the other team pay the price, and in the end, you bring your big cannons, I'll bring my big cannons, and who's ever standing will respect each other at the end of the game.
And then there are other aspects of the game. Did you see Campoli take a penalty for diving there? How many penalty minutes would Bill Barber have had if that rule was in effect in the late 70s and early 80s?
Yeah, poor Bill had a reputation of making a little hook look, you know, a little bit better than it really was. And we all knew that. So, but he was good for one a game. He'd draw one penalty a game. We knew that.
Who was the best diver you guys had? Somebody had to take liberties occasionally.
Oh, I'm trying to think. God, nobody went down easy. You know, I don't know if we had a guy who had a reputation like that. But we tried to draw penalties. We'd embellish a little bit.
What do you think of the new rules, by the way?
I actually don't mind the wide open, the free skating and everything. I'd like to see a few more battles in front of the net in the corners. I think that would really, because I think the fans love that aggressiveness. They like to see guys earning their territory, and they like to see guys battling for the puck. And right now you see guys just playing off a little bit because they don't want to take a penalty because they're not sure if they're going to get called or what's going to be called. So I think, but it'll all even out in the end. I hope that aggressiveness comes back. But I sure like the speed of the game is fantastic. You've seen a lot of speed in the game right now. I like the no center ice, the long pass. I think that's opened up neutral zone great. I like the fact that they got the trapezoid behind the nets. I think that's really good. There's some uniqueness. I think that's going to work out.
Real quickly, do you foresee a return to the National Hockey League in any capacity for Brian Trottier anytime soon?
You know, I would love to get back into the game, but I've really enjoyed the last couple of years of no stress and just you know, being a full-time dad, doing some things like playing old-timers games and alumni games and charity events and getting out back into the community. Because when you're involved in hockey, you don't have an opportunity to do a lot of that stuff during the wintertime. And I've traveled all over northern Canada. I've been all over the States with the kids doing their activities. And it's been a wonderful time. But yes, you know, the spirit of hockey is in me, and you know that doesn't go away. And it'd be great to have an opportunity to get back into teaching the game of hockey at the highest level, which is the greatest league in the world, and that's the NHL.
Well, I think we saw that passion even on the ice tonight from him, didn't we, Joe?
Yeah. It looked like you were having fun.
Well, Brian, listen, we appreciate you joining us. Thanks for tonight, and of course, all the memories on behalf of the people here on Long Island.
Well, Howie, if I can just take one more minute, Joe, Howie, thank you very much for spending a few minutes with us.
This is who I... Trottier, we had said so long just before the break, but Brian had one more message for the fans on Long Island, so go ahead, Trotz.
Yeah, Howie, I just wanted to say thank you to you and Joe for the opportunity just to spend a few minutes with you and reminisce. But really, it's a special day for us. You know, the fans of Long Island, I'll love them forever. It's a special relationship, and I'll always hold Long Island and the people of Long Island in my heart. And for Charles Wong and Mike Bilbrey to embrace us the way they did tonight and allow us to come back and enjoy the evening, get down into the dressing room, meet the players. It's the first time I was in the locker room since 1993. I said to myself, wow, this is really, really wonderful. So like for all of this was really, really cool. You know, it's almost goosebump night.
Well, Brian, once again, thanks so much for coming up.
Yeah, great to see you. You look like you could play.
Fibber.
So it took that. That's the big fib of the night, huh? Our thanks to Brian Trottier. And the Islanders and Flyers on scoreless terms here with 11:08 remaining in the first period. Brian Trottier, the winner of the Conn Smythe Trophy, is the most valuable player of those 1980 playoffs. 12 goals, 17 assists. And always fun visiting with Brian. Peter Forsberg for the Flyers. Plays it into the corner. Well, you could still hear, though, Joe, that passion in his voice when he talks not only about the fans and the Islanders, but about the sport. Makes you think that Brian Trottier will be back in the National Hockey League sometime soon. Jason Blake plays it off a skate, and the puck handled in the Flyers zone by defenseman Randy Jones, number 29. In half a period, or almost that long, 26 seconds shy of it, there has been one shot on goal recorded, and it came from Brent Sokol in the first minute of the game. Each team had a power play. There was a 4-on-4 when a penalty was called to neutralize an Islander power play. That's when Joel Bouchard went off.
We've had one shot on goal now for 10 minutes. Islanders have the only shot. Flyers are a team that have been banged up, still have plenty of players on the injury front, but they've yet to get a shot.
Mike York, Shatan, and Hunter, the line for the Islanders. That's about as good a line as they've had for the last little while. Bats off of Erskine's glove. Jamming down the right wing is Jeff Carter, number 17. He had help from Mike Richards, number 18, and the Flyer rookies have really hurt the Islanders this year. Those two guys in particular.
Yeah, it's the first game this season that those two have played on the same line. Generally, they're both center icemen. Well, Ken Hitchcock told me this morning, he said, listen, I'm going to try and put my... That should be a penalty there. Ooh, that was close. Well, Ken Hitchcock said, I got to put my top 9 players on the top 3 lines and let them play. They're hoping that Gagne gets back for Monday's game, and they're hoping that Jesus gets back for sometime later in the week, next week.
Chasing back into the Philadelphia zone is Pat Kavanaugh, number 36. A first-year player, too old to be classified as a rookie in the National Hockey League. And that's the way this season has gone for the Flyers. At times it has appeared that they have been the Philadelphia Phantoms, their American League affiliate, more so than the Flyers.
You know what? It's really pretty amazing that they have the kind of record they do, and they haven't had their full lineup yet this year. Not once have they had their full lineup, and to have that kind of record, you know, it tells you something about the young players they've got in the organization and about the coaching staff, and all these players have just stuck together and kept playing.
Radovojevich met by a pair of Islanders. Joe, we know that Primo is done for the year. What about his career? What do you think of the chances of his playing?
Well, he said he's going to try and come back and play next year. So, you know, the process, he slowly got better, but it was just simply too slow. And he made, you know, he took baby steps in feeling better and getting to the point where he could work out a little bit. And it was a very, very slow process. And so when you think about missing an entire year last year and then most of the year this year, it's been almost 2 years now since he's played. But he does want to come back and play next year. In fact, what he's doing for home games is that he's helping out. He's kind of a player coach without being a player. Sits up in takes notes on the team, watches games, and then walks in the next morning, puts them on Ken Hitchcock's desk, and then they have a discussion about it. So he's still helping out the organization even though he can't play.
Well, these teams have played nearly 13 minutes of the first period. One shot on goal. And again, that was by Brent Sokol in the first minute of the game. They have never gone a full period, have the Islanders, without allowing an opponent shot on goal. And wouldn't you know, a time left in the first period, 7-11, Bobby Nye. Wearing a bow tie, and Brad Shaw delivers the Infinity quote book tonight, and he's aware he won a Memorial Cup in juniors, so he understands the sacrifice, the dedication, and the courage. And Brad Shaw was glad to see so many of those 1980 Islanders visit with the present-day team. And it was interesting, Joe, in the beginning of our scene set, you heard Chris Campoli talking about how in awe he was to meet Mike Bossy. Chris Campoli was 2 years old when Mike Bossy played his last game in the NHL. So it's not like Chris ever sat in front of the TV and watched Mike Bossy and Brian Trottier and the rest of them live, but that's a little bit of the legacy of this team and how it transcends Long Island, because Chris Campoli grew up in Toronto.
Yeah, it's 26 years since they won that first one. And you know what? Brian Trottier does look pretty good, doesn't he?
Tanned and rested, like they used to say about Billy Martin and others when they're on the verge of a comeback.
Somebody did lie to him about playing, but that's all right.
shot deflects out of play. Yeah, that might have been a stretch.
That's okay.
Saw Yashin a moment ago. The reason he wears 79 is that Brian Trottier, of course, wore number 19, which is the number that Yashin wore in Ottawa. Brian had that number retired at long last back in October of 2001. 6:32 remaining here in the first period. Never mind no score, just one shot.
Now this Flyers team, they've actually changed their style a little bit since the beginning of the season. I mean, now they're almost playing where they're trying to win 1-0 games until they get everybody back, and they've had to just try and win the close games. They actually, even though they lost to the Rangers last game 6-1, at one point in the first period they had outshot the Rangers 15-2 in a scoreless game. Then they take a bad penalty at the end of the first period, and the Rangers score on that, and Rangers went on to score 3 more power play goals and win it 6-1. About one shot on goal. There's the second one right there. Jason Blake coming in from the corner, and Tiro Niittymaki with the easy save. MVP of the Olympics. Boy, what a performance he put on for Finland.
Came within a goal of at least tying in that gold medal game. 3-2 Sweden the final, and Niittymaki terrific in goal for Finland the whole way.
He had the flu during the Olympics. He came back, still hadn't gotten over that, and now just starting to feel better.
Ola Kavasha plays it up the middle to Yashin. And Niittymaki will hold on there. We've already heard from Brian Trottier here in the first period. And during our first intermission, Joe will get the chance to visit with the greatest goal scorer in Islanders history, and certainly one of the greatest goal scorers in the history of the NHL, Mike Bossy.
How about the buzz as Jigs McDonald was on the ice emceeing the ceremony, and hadn't even mentioned number 22, but he was next in line. And I mean, the crowd started rising, and there started the buzz and the chant and standing ovation before Jigs even mentioned Mike Bossy.
Yeah, there's a certain elusive quality to Bossy even after his career. It's going to be a penalty to the Islanders here. Yoni Pitkin keeping the puck, delayed penalty. Islanders don't control until now, so the whistle blows, and the Flyers, who have not had a shot over the first 14:54 of this period, will go to the power play and try to get at least that.
There's Erskine right there on Carter. As Carter went past him, he tried to hook the stick, got his arms and hands, and so Erskine goes off, and the Flyers have really struggled on their specialty, both power play and penalty killing.
Yeah, their penalty killing is 26th in the league. Their power play tied with Minnesota for 17th. Coming into this game, won for its last 14.
Yeah, I was talking to Brad Shaw about this morning, and he said, when the power play is struggling, he says sometimes you just get to a point as a coach and as a team, you just say, get the puck, shoot it on goal, get players going to the net and see what happens. So that being the case, he's trying to think that that's the way that Philadelphia will play. So they're going to try and get out there.
That's what Pitkin just did.
Yeah, they're going to try and get out there and really prevent that point shot. The strong side forward is going to stay close to that defense if he can, to try and prevent them from just shooting and going to the net.
Well, Pitkin, though, delivered the first Flyer shot at just about the 15-minute mark of this period. Minute and 35 left on their power play, and Sopel got a bad break as he tried to fire that puck out of the zone. It hit a Flyer, stays in, and DiPietro with a save on Freddie Meyer, number 34.
Well, as that ever, he was doing the right thing. I mean, he looked up and he saw the middle of the ice was open, and that was the place to clear it. And when he tried to clear it, I believe it hit one of the Flyer players, and then ended up staying in the zone. And then this is what happened when the puck stayed in the zone. The Flyers were able to keep control and get one more shot from a bad angle. DiPietro with the easy save.
And from the draw, York did all he could to prevent Forsberg from drawing it back. DiPietro gave it away, and Nedved scores. Well, it's another bad break to the extent that a DiPietro wind around hit one of those tricky little areas in those corner boards, and we've seen it so often where pucks that are supposed to go all the way around the boards hit a little something right at the base and bounce to the slot, and that's what happened.
Yeah, now watch. He's going to go to his backhand, fakes that, and then goes the other way. And then there you see it. And boy, when you're struggling on the power play, you hope for one like that where you have an empty net. And Peter Nedved looked out. I mean, it just hit the stanchion in the glass, comes right back to the slot before DiPietro can get back in there. Peter Nedved with the quick shot into the open net. And the Flyers, on their third shot, score and make it a 1-0 game.
You know, it's easy to blame DiPietro, but the worst that was going to happen there was that the puck was going to wind up being held in at the blue line by the point man. That was just a bad break, pure and simply, hitting that stanchion.
Well, what happens is when you're a forward killing the penalty and your goaltender has it with that kind of time, generally what you do is you start cheating towards the boards, because more times than not, that's where the puck is going to go, especially when the goaltender's behind the net.
So Peter Nedved with his fourth, his first in 9 games, and the 305th of his career. Puts the Flyers on top with a power play goal at 15:38, an unassisted goal. And now Yashin working along with Eric Desjardins. Desjardins not giving Yashin much, but he does turn and get one to the net. Itamaki had a stick down. Desjardins to the corner. And now Kapanen crisply up the middle to Carter. And that dump in affords the Flyers a change. Now Zhitnik just lofts one that lands in the Flyers zone. Hunter after it with Pitkanen. Hunter put the body on. Good work on the forecheck by Trent Hunter. But the Flyers get it back. And Pitkanen scoops it out of the zone.
Now Hunter's coming off a game against New Jersey where he just about every shift was effective in the way he played, taking the man, creating some scoring chances, using his body, making good plays. He wasn't as noticeable against Montreal, but and Bradshaw had a talk with him about getting back to being the player, because he's been so consistent, especially the last couple of months or so. And he was like that against New Jersey and really had a terrific game.
So the draw coming up outside the Islander line. And it's Nedved controlling and whipping it around. DiPietro out it to the corner, cut off there by R.J. Umberger. Mentioned Carter and Richards. We'll throw Umberger into this mix as well. Several of the first-year Flyer players who have really hurt the Islanders this year in the 5 prior games. Carter has 2 goals and 6 assists. Umberger 3 and 3. Richards 3 and 2. As the Flyers have won 4 out of the 5. There's a drive that's deflected away, taken by Bouchard, and a penalty coming up. And I think Trent Hunter's going to go. And the Flyers going to go back to the power play.
I think he's going to get it for running into the goaltender, Niittymaki. Hunter was going to the net. Watch Hunter from the right side.
Islanders, number 7, minor penalty, interference on the goaltender.
I mean, he ended up reaching in with his stick, I think, a little bit, but there certainly wasn't much contact. Bradshaw is trying to figure out where the call came from. I mean, Hunter was getting pushed from behind on the play, and now they show it up on the Jumbotron here at the Coliseum, and the fans are booing the call. Bradshaw, you can tell by the look on his face that he thought it was wrong.
Yeah, nothing he saw in that replay changed his mind.
Now there's 2:21 to go, and I mean it's a critical time now. Penalty killing for the Islanders, trailing 1-0 on a power play goal by the Flyers, which was a fluke goal. The shots are 3 aside, and now the Islanders have to make sure they get the job done here against this Flyers power play.
Freddie Meyer, number 34, will work the points with Desjardins. Mike Knuble, number 22, along with Peter Forsberg, number 21. Up front on this power play with Brian Savage, number 49. It's Knuble doing some dirty work behind the net, off to Forsberg. Peter Forsberg hooks up with Knuble in the corner. Savage is in front of the net. Now Meyer lofts one that way, and it's skidded just wide. Forsberg with 40 gone on the power play. Draws a pair to him, sets up Meyer, who is looking for Savage's stick. And the Flyers keep it. Forsberg fails to hold it. Desjardins backs him up. Jitnik trying to clear, and with help from Parrish, he does.
Ryan Savage has taken the place of Simon Gagne, who is the leading goal scorer for Philadelphia with 37. So Savage moves up to play with Forsberg and Knuble.
Now Pitkin as the Flyers have changed. Drives it hard around the boards. Carter, Nedved, Umberger play up front. Randy Jones joins Pitkin on the point. And it's Jones who's going to have to chase it all the way down as we reach the final minute of the period.
You know, Howie, and people I'm talking to around the league, since the Olympic break, and since the referees and linesmen had that 3-day clinic, they are calling the game, I think, even tighter than they were before.
Well, it just shows you how the league is keeping to the mandate, which is something that they have not done in the past when they have instituted the pressure on the officials to call all the clutching and grabbing.
That 3 days, they did a little bit of skating, but they spent an awful lot of time looking at video. And again, they reinforced what they're trying to do, how they want the game to be called.
Carter out of the box, and a bouncer off the post. And again, a very peculiar hop. That puck was on edge, and it jumped up on DiPietro and clanged off the goalpost. Umberger takes a hit. Kampanen a shot. DiPietro the save. Time running down, and now out. And the first period ends with each team registering just 3 shots. And the Flyers, the only goal. Peter Nedved scores it as DiPietro wheeling it around the boards. Got a bad break, and he almost got another one here.
That's Pitkin in. Look at the bounce. Right at the end of the period, the ice a little bit chopped up. And that thing, once, twice, it was the second hop. And that right over the glove of DiPietro, and the Flyers lead it.
4-3 Flyers in shots, 1-0 in goals, and no one put the puck in the net better than Mike Bossy, who visits with Joe in a moment.
Along with one of the all-time greats, Mike Bossy. Mike, first of all, I got to ask you, as Jiggs McDonald was getting ready to mention your name, they haven't even mentioned your number yet. You were still down underneath, and this crowd got up and started chanting, and you had to be hearing that from underneath the stands. What were your thoughts?
Well, absolutely, I heard it, and you know, I've always had an unbelievable relationship with the fans here when I was playing, ever since I stopped playing, and I can only appreciate you know, the feedback that I get every time I get here and step out onto the ice.
Tell us a little bit about last night. I know you guys all got together, had a great dinner at the Garden City Hotel, and a lot of stories were told. Some people said there were a few lies, but anyway, bring us back. Tell us about the night.
Unfortunately, I didn't get in until 12:30. My flight was delayed last night. I was sitting on the tarmac for about 3 hours in Montreal because of plane troubles. We got back on the same plane, and unfortunately we got here. But I got in, just got the real tail end of it, and obviously the stories had got even more exaggerated at that point. But it's always great fun to get back and to talk to the guys, and you know, the stories do get a little bigger, there's no doubt about that, but it's always nice to see, and it's always amazing to realize when you see these guys the amazing accomplishment that we had back then in the early 80s, and to see that everyone is still in good form, and everyone looks happy.
What was special about that 80 team?
I think what was special is what we learned through our 2 previous losses against the Maple Leafs and against the Rangers. The Rangers loss was really disheartening, and it really hurt us. And I think that everyone matured another 6 months when we started the following season, and we understood what we had to do to win hockey games. And the passion, the desire, the willingness to work on everybody's part, and the addition of Butch Goring didn't hurt. You know, Butch came here and explained and really got on everybody's back when he got here and told us, hey, you guys don't know how good you are. You got to go out there with confidence in yourselves, and we built on that, and Butchie brought spark, enthusiasm to the team, and everything just, you know, was like a snowball going downhill, and we built from that.
You this morning, along with all your other teammates, visited the Coliseum, and it was special with all the season ticket holders here as well.
Absolutely.
But you took some time and went in and spoke to the team. What'd you tell them?
Well,
the current team.
I went in and told them that I hoped that they weren't going to give me a performance like they did Tuesday night against the Montreal Canadiens.
You didn't like that?
I happened to watch that on TV and wasn't too impressed. But they came back on Thursday and won. And, I think as in any professional athlete, if you go out there with pride in the work that you bring out onto the ice and with the final result of the 60 minutes that you go through on the ice, then there's nothing more you can do. We're only human. You go out there and you give it your best and you get home after the game. And I remember so many games getting home, taking the clothes off, looking into the mirror and saying, hey, I did everything that I could do to be the best that I can be tonight. And I try to tell everybody that I see, if that's what you do when you get home at night, then there's nothing more you can do.
You guys were the best for a long time, Mike. Thanks for this visit. It's been fun evening thus far, and I know you're going to have fun again tonight visiting with all your guys. Thanks for the time, and we're going to show you just some of your goals. I mean, you only had a few here and there, but you probably remember a few of those as we leave. Thanks for the visit, and why don't you watch and smile as you're watching this.
Thank you.
There are always new races to be run, new challenges.
Part by Office Depot, taking care of business. By Ford, check out the best-selling Ford Explorer at a price that's even better, only your Tri-State quality Ford dealer. And by Charles Schwab, investing, talk to someone who actually listens. Talk to Chuck, Charles Schwab, 1-800-4-SCHWAB. Peter Nedved has the goal, something that Mike Bossy did 573 times in his career. He scored a goal in only 752 games. Nobody in the history of the NHL has come closer to averaging a goal a game than Mike Bossy, and his numbers are staggering. What a nice visit he had with Joe Michelletti, and he was a gentleman on the ice, as evidenced by the 3 Lady Byng trophies that he won. But he is like a rock star around here. Mark Parrish said it was like the greatest moment of his life when he met Mike Bossy, and just even the current Islanders, their faces just light up when they talk about getting a chance to visit with him or talk to him, and the fact that he went in there and talked to them about the Montreal game and gave them a bit of a stern talking to really keep up the Islander pride. But Mike Bossy, one of a kind and a real original. The Islanders will be back here at the Coliseum on Tuesday night when they take on the Devils again. Marty Brodeur, Patrick Elias, Scott Gomez and company. For tickets, you can visit the Coliseum box office, Ticketmaster.com, or Ticketmaster charge by phone, 631-888-9000. A quick break and we'll continue with more. The Flyers lead the Islanders 1-0 after 1. We'll continue our coverage of this 1980 celebration right after this.
Somewhat fluky, as you'll see in a moment. They lead 1-0 at the end of one in a game that didn't feature many shots, at least in the first period, and it took the Flyers almost to the 15-minute mark before they got there first. But the Islanders really were taking the body. 15-4 against Philadelphia in hits is the edge they had as we look at first period highlights.
Yeah, it's
Joe.
one of the things that Brad Shaw talked to them about yesterday in practice, about coming out, getting ready to play physical game. And Trent Hunter with the first hit, he had 5 in the first period. That was Darian Hatcher on Shatan, who just arrived back again today. So it was a period where both teams came out and hitting, but the Islanders had certainly the edge there. And here's the fluky goal that you talked about. DiPietro around the glass, hits a stanchion, comes right back to the crease, or pardon me, to the slot. And that's where Peter Nedved was. He had a wide open net as DiPietro was trying to get back in, and that's the only goal. A power play goal makes it 1-0.
The second period coming up on an emotional, and Islanders hockey is brought to you in part by Cablevision. Get the most New York sports in high definition on IO digital cable service from Cablevision. By Lexus, the new all-wheel Lexus IS 250. Why live in one dimension? And by new and improved Just for Men hair color. It targets only the gray, ain't nothing like it. And as fans of Long Island will tell you, nothing like the 1980 Stanley Cup champions honored here tonight. And they have various and sundry recollections of that special time.
I came here right after the Olympics, played my first game a week after we won the gold medal, and then the team went on a bit of a roll after we got Butch scoring, undefeated, I think, in our last 15 games or so, and so we carried that momentum right into the playoffs.
We were strong from the back all the way through. I mean, we had 4 good lines, and I think that's what beat a lot of teams. You see a lot of teams that have maybe 1 or 2 strong lines. We had 4. And, you know, Al could put anybody out at any given time and they could do the job. And that's what makes you a winner.
To get a good team, you need good people in all positions, and you need a good third line player too, and I mean a third pair of defensemen got to be good guys too. Everyone got to do the job, and I think everyone knew their sort of position and worked hard at that position. That's why I think it worked so well.
I think that comes from behind the bench, the coaching that we had and the direction that both Bill, Torrey, and Arbour gave us. You know, a lot of it was self-discipline, and you fulfilled the role that was given to you amongst the group, and anytime you have everyone pulling a little bit different rope, but always in the same direction, you're going to have success.
Well, here's a quick little story about Dwayne Sutter, as long as we just heard from him. Drafted by Bill Torrey and Jim Devellano and coached to 4 cups by Al Arbour. Dwayne Sutter had quite a fight against Pat Hickey of the Rangers in the preseason. Just going into Sutter's rookie year, the year the Islanders would win their first cup. And Pat Hickey had been a 40-goal scorer for the Rangers. Remember, the Rangers had upset the Islanders in a memorable and emotional playoff series the year before. Long drive from the blue line steered away by DiPietro. But Sutter really gave it to Hickey, and even later in the game, he was taunting Hickey, pointing at his own eye to reflect the damage that he did to Hickey when he gave him a black eye. And things like that are what helped bond a young player like Sutter with his veteran teammates before the season even started. And Dwayne Sutter would play an integral role in all 4 cups, never mind just the first.
Al Arbour told me that when he had both Brent and Dwayne on the same team, he said when they'd have scrimmages in practice, he had to make sure that they were on the same team because they'd look to fight each other in practice during their scrimmages. So he said he couldn't put them on opposite teams. He had to keep them on the same team.
Just like
he said every time he'd have a scrimmage, he'd divide up. You don't see that much in practice anymore because of the number, especially this year, number of games. But he said he'd divide up. You'd have 2 lines and 4 defensemen on each team, and he'd have a half-hour scrimmage, and he had to make sure Brent and Dwayne were on the same team so they wouldn't fight each other.
Just like they did in the sandbox back in Viking, Alberta at the ages of 2 and 5. Joel Bouchard plays it around to Kavasha. And now Yashin to center. Yashin again playing with Kavasha and Asham. The first instinct as Asham tries a wraparound, he gets the puck back to the blue line to Erskine. That drive steered aside by Niittymaki.
Good shot.
And the puck brought out by Richards. Across now to Kapanen. A return to Richards with a step on Asham. He pulled him down, did Asham. And a penalty coming up as Richards went in hard. But a tripping penalty on Aaron Asham will send the Flyers to the power play.
What ended up happening is that Asham, who was a forward, got stuck playing defense. And the Flyers took advantage of that. Richards is a gutsy player. And he noticed he had a step. And there's Asham. He dives. If he would have gotten the puck first, he would have been okay, but he got the skates. Watch the stick, hit the skates first. And down goes Richards, and so the Flyers on another power play.
I started to say, Joe, there's a temptation, because that's the way it's been the last 5 years, to look at whoever's playing with Yashin. Pickanen with a hard centering feed, and Forsberg almost finished. DiPietro able to make the save. But the point I want to make real quickly is there's a temptation to say, well, whoever's playing with Yashin, that's the top line. That's really not the way it's going right now in terms of ice time, at least.
No, there's another look at the penalty. And it was close to being called a penalty shot, but he wasn't clearly in. Erskine was coming back from the other side.
Clearly the York line with Hunter and Chattin has been the Islanders' best line lately.
And teams know that.
And the ice time that the Yashin line is getting the last couple of games reflects that. They're not getting top-line ice time right now.
And you know what? That line has to start producing. They've got to start producing, I think, as part of what the Islanders need. Again, a part of what they need to win. They're going to have to win, obviously, the majority of their games to have a chance to get into the playoffs. But their schedule really isn't bad. It's favorable to a certain extent, and they're going to be playing some of the teams they're fighting against.
Well, DiPietro gave that away, and in the end, he's able to make 2 spectacular saves to keep the score 1-0.
Oh man, Brad Shaw, I just saw the right side of his head turn gray. DiPietro comes out but doesn't get anything on it, and then makes I think 2 saves, and gives it away there. Does he make a save there? No, that was by Parrish, but that one he made on Forsberg,
still had to make 2,
was unbelievable. I mean, Parrish did a great job to come back. He was alert and sucked. I'm telling you, no, this is gray right here. All right, that was darker when the game started.
Oh boy, what a look!
You know,
to see that expression.
Well, hey, listen. I mean, every play. Every play is critical. You know, every play is critical when you're a team that has to approach every game like you have to win. You know, and really they do. They have to approach every game like they have to get points, at least points out of every game. And there's no time for mental mistakes. He's out again, and Brad Shaw right now has got to be thinking, I got to say something to him. You know, that's one of his strengths. But the Flyers are doing the right thing and defending against that, and it's getting him in trouble.
Montreal leads Tampa Bay 2-1 at the end of the second period. Remember, the Canadiens occupying the 8th spot, 8 points ahead of the Islanders. Pitkin across to Desjardins.
Well, there's really 4 other games to be watching tonight.
Here's a lead for Blake, right in on goal. Stick save, Niittymaki. Niittymaki was able to poke check on Blake, and yet a penalty coming up to the Flyers.
Well, Niittymaki did a great job with his stick. Blake had his head up, and Pitkin was coming from the other side, and he'll get hooked right there.
Philadelphia, 44.
And so Niittymaki does a good job, but you can see the high stick. Watch the right shoulder of Blake. You'll see it come in right there. That's the stick of Pitkin. So Blake has a chance on the breakaway, can't finish, and now the Islanders will play 4-on-4 for the next 19 seconds, and then the Islanders will have a power play.
That'll be for 1 minute and 41 seconds. Pitkin for the hook. 4-on-4 here with Sopel off to Zhitnik, and that floats into the corner. Islanders have Shatan up front with York, and the Flyers going with Sammy Kapanen, number 24.
Now, Howie, pardon me. You know, we showed Brad Shaw on the bench, and he's intense. And you watch him in practice. As soon as someone does something wrong in practice, I mean, every time the whistle blows. I mean, he wants them to do everything the correct way. No wasted time.
Quick feed to Shatan. It deflects at a save, or at least Zhitnik's shot deflected, and a save by Niittymaki.
You know, he in practice, when something doesn't happen right, and if somebody's lazy, I mean, Bradshaw, he just blows the whistle, yells at him, talks about the basics of hockey. How do you expect to win if you don't do basic drills correctly? And he'll go through it. So he doesn't. I mean, this is a guy that's very stern, has a great understanding of the game. I think he's doing a terrific job.
Brent Sopel backing up. Jason Blake hard across. Yashin flubs the shot. Desjardins clears. Peter Forsberg has gone to the dressing room for the Flyers.
Oh boy, they can only hope that that's equipment related. He's been tired. Of course, he didn't get back until Tuesday night after the celebration in Sweden. Got back Tuesday, got on the bus Wednesday, played in New Jersey.
And now Sopel off to Blake. Parrish is in front. Sopel straight on, fires it too high. 37 seconds remaining on the Islander power play. Umberger pulls up. Good play by R.J. Umberger, and then the clear. And a quick feed by DiPietro. And Blake's got to cut back.
Now, the Islanders need a change now, too. They got to make sure that their power play units don't stay on the ice too long. Keep fresh people out there.
Darian Hatcher poked it off the stick of Blake, and it's cleared by Richards.
Now this is an area where the Flyers have struggled. Again, their special teams have been a problem, but they're penalty killing on the road. has been good, but overall not good.
That shot by Bouchard hit a couple of sticks on the way through. But the power play is over. The Flyers clear. And the Islanders managed one shot on that power play. Randy Jones, number 29 in the Philadelphia zone, gave it up to York. York tries to center, but it hit Jones. And now Nedved comes ahead. Peter Nedved to the Islander line, and dropped the Savage. A quick feed to the other side, and Knuble shot it wide. Savage.
I'm sorry, Howie. Now Nedved has moved up in the spot vacated by Forsberg, so his wings now are Knuble and Savage.
Pietro again gave it up. Knuble centers. Pitkin shot it wide. Didn't get much on it. Had Campoli on him. And Campoli's got the puck. Knuble throws it right back in. 13:39 to go. Second period. Offside is Bergenheim. Flyers have outshot the Islanders 7-6. The Long Island Catholic League Championship on the Snapple High School basketball game of the week. St. Dominic battles St. Mary's tomorrow morning on MSG.
Yes, that was Peter Forsberg back on the bench for the Flyers.
And what you heard was that sigh of relief coming from Ken Hitchcock and maybe a couple of others.
It'll be interesting if the Flyers try and make a deal before next Wednesday afternoon at 3 o'clock Eastern time.
Bergenheim leading Nielsen, couldn't get it there.
With Keith Primo not retiring, but deciding not to play for the remainder of the season, that frees up about $2.3 million in cap money for Bob Clark to make a deal if he can.
Leonard Stevenson, a shot that DiPietro holds, gets a little ice shower, and that's why the Islanders have gone to DiPietro's aid there.
Yeah, John Erskine right in the middle of things. And Poley was in there as well.
Is there a player or players you feel would be most likely to wind up in Philadelphia?
It's hard to say. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what teams start doing. Here's another look at it. And there you see the snow shower, and then Erskine right in the middle of that action. I don't know, Howie. You know, and we might just see kind of a chain reaction thing. I mean, I'm starting to hear a lot of different names and some big-time names of players moving around. I think it's going to take someone to pull the trigger, one or two or three teams, but there's still some time remaining. Remember, this is just Saturday. They've got until next Thursday afternoon, and a lot can change in the next 2, 3, 4 games as to what teams are thinking about their chances, such as Florida loses again last night. Their job only gets more and more difficult.
Montreal, as we mentioned, leading Tampa Bay going to the third period 2-1. Ottawa 3, Toronto 2 with 12.5 minutes left. Washington and Atlanta tied 1-1 with 9 minutes left. Buffalo leads Boston 3-2 with 1:37 left.
Those are the 4 games to watch that are being played tonight. That all have an effect on the Islanders. Of course, the Islanders have to get the job done first.
Barry Hatcher for Umberger.
By the way, Atlanta just scored. Washington was leading 1-0 in the third.
Alexei Yashin up the left side. Yashin pulls up. That deflects off the stick of Philadelphia's Branko Radivojevic, and play is stopped. Shot that didn't come. And so 12:05 remains here in the second. Philadelphia out shooting the Islanders 8-6. Bates, Blake, and Parrish against the Forsberg line with Knuble and Savage for the Flyers. Now Parrish double teamed along the boards. And it's powered ahead to Savage.
Good play. Great job with the stick by Sopel.
Pitkin in on Blake, but there'll be a penalty.
Now this all starts because of the great defensive play by Sopel. Now Sopel has really elevated his game as well in the last month, I think. He's made a lot of good decisions. Watch the stick coming up right there. I mean, he just reaches out and pokes the puck off the stick of Savage. Islanders are able to go the other way, and Blake draws the penalty. And so the Islanders with another chance here on the power play. Shots are 8-6. Nearly midway through this game, with the Flyers leading in that category. But the Flyers are playing a much more conservative style than they played at the beginning of the season. Largely because of the injury.
And Jitnik and Sopel right there failed to connect on a pass that wound up in icing. So the Islanders on the power play have to deal with the defensive zone draw. And maybe Ken Hitchcock is saying to himself, now I've got things where I want them, meaning he's almost forced to go back to playing something akin to the kind of system that he used to enjoy playing so much.
He never talks to himself. When he talks, somebody hears him.
Well, he looked like he was muttering.
You know what, though? He's done a heck of a job with a team that's been banged up all season long. He's done a really good job, he and his staff. And the young kids that you talked about, all the young kids that they played. And they're a hard team to beat. I don't care what night it is and who's in the lineup. It's just you gotta play hard to beat them.
Islanders on their third power play, or 0 for 2 so far in this game, and 8 out of 32 on the season against the Flyers. 8 out of 31, I should say.
The Islanders need to do something here offensively to kind of get this crowd into it. They got a big crowd here that really enjoyed themselves at the pregame ceremony. Now they got to do something. They got to put some offensive pressure on. Force Niedermacki to make some good saves and to do something. And Hunter looks like he's hurt. His stick is in the player zone. Now he got a stick up in the face. And was wondering how come that wasn't seen. Let's see what it was.
Whoa, man.
Yeah, he's lucky. He got the stick first, and it looked like the skate just missed.
Yeah. That skate play gets around the face. You just hold your breath right at the left of his head.
Checking the teeth as well. Got the... and now another penalty. Who gets this one?
I think the Islanders are going to have a two-man power play.
They sure
here.
are.
Umberger for a hook.
Yeah. Again, right off the faceoff. We've seen a couple of penalties called in this game right off the faceoff, just seconds after the faceoff. And he held up Yashin. Umberger was taking the faceoff, and he beat Yashin on the faceoff, held him up somewhat, and then got the call against.
Well, here you go.
Yeah, no, you can hear the buzz. I mean, there's a little bit of a buzz in the building now. I mean, they got to make something happen here.
A potentially critical point of this game for the Islanders, and right away the long pass goes offside.
Well, the Islanders' power play has really been disjointed in this game, and I think a part of it is because they're passing when they should be skating, and skating when they should be passing and trying to carry the puck too much. And they just need to get in sync here a little bit.
Parrish, Yashin, Blake, Shatan, and Sopel, 4 forwards out on the power play.
Try to get the puck to Shatan. I mean, great things are happening when he has it.
Sopel, the drive, saved Niedermacki, and Parrish denied on the rebound.
Never a bad idea either. Sopel took the shot. Parrish was in front for the deflection.
Shatan to Sopel. It didn't get through, and it's cleared by Refji. DiPietro keeps it moving forward. 17 seconds left on Pitkin's penalty. Richards stick checking at the line, didn't get it. And the Islanders set up. Shatan to Blake. Parrish in front. Blake across. Sopel the drive. Save made. Parrish couldn't get to the rebound. Flyers clear. Pitkin about to come out. Now it's a 5-on-4 for 57 seconds.
Shatan, I'll say it again. Shatan needs the puck more.
Blake for Yashin. Block rebound. Parrish. It's slithered wide. Blake again. Scores!
You'll see him watch the play. He starts going around the net, then stops to go after the puck. When he looked up, he made the decision, I'm going to just try and bank it in. And that's exactly what he does. He banked it in. Niedermacki saw it, put his glove up. And his face mask was there. His head was there as well. And Blake just said, I'm going to fire this backhand and try and get lucky. And he did. Huge goal for the Islanders as they lead at 1-0, or pardon me, as they've come back to tie at 1-1. That's a power play goal.
Well, it's lucky, but that old Branch Rickey saying about luck being the residue of design really works, because Blake knew exactly what he was doing.
That's right. But then you have to get a little lucky on the play as well. And Niedermacki almost missed that one.
Bouncing puck. Sopel got it through. Niedermacki steers it away. So in the 5-on-4 power play, the Islanders get even. Blake's 23rd at 10:32. Hunter fires it around the boards. Meyer back to get it. All the way to Shetnik. Saved Niedermacki. Hunter after the rebound has room, but couldn't get it there. And it's sent out of the zone. Knuble got knocked down and took Bates with him.
You know what? I think Jones, the defenseman, made a heck of a play, because there was a wide open net and Hunter was going to stuff it in, and I believe he either just lost it by the puck rolling off his blade, or Jones, the defenseman, made the defensive play to knock it off his blade.
Shatan off the side of the net. Karam to Pitkanen. And around to Reddy. That's Ryan Reddy, number 14. And it's Reddy sending it in. Parrish and Yashin get the assists on Blake's goal. And out comes Robert Nielsen. Nielsen, good move on Turner Stevenson. Rathje doesn't clear. Shatan gathers it back. And Rathje hassled by York, who got it loose. York looking for a play. York for Nielsen. And he puts it right off the leg of Pitkanen. And the Flyers come to center. Pitkanen over the Islander line. Pietro steers it away as Erskine finished his hit on Pitkanen. And here's a lead for Nielsen. Nielsen breaking ahead. Desjardins on him. Nielsen can't get the shot off. Maybe a penalty shot here. What do you think?
Yes.
Penalty shot. Penalty shot, Robert Nielsen.
Now, Joni Pitkanen, one of the Flyer defense, got caught. And this was Desjardins coming from behind. And Nielsen took his time and got the puck from his backhand. Watch him bring it back to his forehand. Never gets a shot. And Desjardins hooked him down enough for the penalty shot. And so young Robert Nielsen, in a tie game with 7:29 to go in the second period, is getting some instruction from a veteran, Don Koharski.
Only the second penalty shot the Islanders have had this year. Miro Shatan took it. And now Nielsen going wide on Niedermacki. In on goal, and Niedermacki beat him. Perhaps the move that he saw his father, Kent Nielsen, make. Yeah. Remember he told us about that earlier?
I thought he might do it when he turned to his right here. I thought he might just go the other way, but he tries the quick shot. That's a good save. That's a good save by Niedermacki. Give him credit. There was a quick release by Nielsen. Right there. He tried to get Niedermacki to move or to stay in the middle. And then by moving that puck from right to the left about a foot, he thought there'd be some room inside the post. Good save.
Sean Bergenheim takes it to the corner. Bergenheim almost peeled away from Desjardins. Tell you one thing, the 1980 team would recognize the buzz in this building now. Sounds quite a bit like how it did during the glory days, and that's what that one goal did for the Islanders to get the fans back into it.
They needed that one to get going, and we've got a tie game here late in the second. Robert Nielsen, and Niedermacki, the MVP of the Olympics, stayed with him. Niedermacki earlier in the season was struggling on breakaways and penalty shots, and I asked him what change he made. He said He said, I wasn't in the middle of the net. So he has to look both ways, make sure that he is centered properly before he faces a penalty shot or a breakaway.
He made the save there on Robert Nielsen. Blake on the forecheck. Missed Sopel. That puck bouncing around again. Blake makes a good play to jump in defensively. Where did he come from?
Mike Knuble let Blake, I think, off the hook. If Blake had his head down, didn't see him, and Knuble could have put him into tomorrow.
The way the Flyers are going, Knuble probably was afraid that he'd have gotten hurt.
Knuble's the only player that's played every game for the Flyers. This is his 61st.
6:11 remaining in the second period. Make sure to stay tuned for our second intermission. Bob Nystrom will be featured, and he will be talking about how from the end of regulation in Game 6 until his goal at 7:11 of overtime, what the thought process was, not only with him, but the rest of his teammates, what they thought about in the room before going out for the overtime. Everybody was, we've heard some of the stories before, convinced that they were the one that was going to get the cup-winning goal. Only Bob Nystrom knows about it firsthand. Niedermacky with a save there, and he'll relay those thoughts between periods. So make sure to stay with us. 5:46 to go in this one. Kavasha whips it back into the Philadelphia zone. Pickinen trailed by Asham, shrugs him off. Tony Pickinen pressured now by Kavasha. And up for Kapanen. Pietro to the trapezoid. Put it off of Kapanen. And now Kavasha up for Aaron Asham. Sweep checking is Hatcher across to Yashin, and a good save by Niedermacky on Alexei Yashin.
Yeah, good pass. Great pass from Asham.
Yashin again wheels it backhanded, it deflects, stays in the crease until it's peeled out towards the blue line. Bouchard for Lukowicz. Brad Lukowicz floats it towards the net. That was chopped down by Richards, who played it up high, deflected, and no penalty because of that deflection. 4:59 to go in the second. 11 presented by Toyota. Well, the present-day Flyers goalie, Taro Niedermacky, probably doesn't know a whole lot about former Islanders goalie Billy Smith, but suffice to say, Smitty is still Smitty. During our break, he was interviewed in-house here on the Jumbotron by C.J. Papa. C.J. said, "I hear you weren't a great practice player. Is that true?" And Smitty gave him that knowing look and said, "You never made any money in practice."
He knew how to make money in the big games, didn't he?
Well, that's why he said he never shook hands with the opposition. He said they were trying to take money from him, and that's what it was about. Smitty never made any bones about it, that the playoffs to him were about money. And there may never have been a better money goalie in the National Hockey League than Bill Smith, who went an impossible to comprehend, really, 57-13 during the 4 Stanley Cup years.
Absolutely unbelievable.
That's ridiculous. 57-13. Miro Shatan bumped by Freddie Meyer. Forsberg got it ahead, and now Brian Savage slides it in. You know what else is remarkable? There are 16 players who played on all 4 Cup teams. Knuble drove it wide, and if that had gone in, you would have heard Don Koharski's name chanted in derision. Koharski right in the middle of that. The Flyers wound up with a shot.
He and Bouchard came together. Bouchard lost the puck. Forsberg took it and fed Knuble for the shot.
Sopel with 3.5 to go in the period for Bates. Sopel a hard feed for Parrish. Checked by Meyer. Worked back towards the line. Parrish broke it up. And now Blake twists it back around. Now Blake hustles into the corner. Turning on the defense. Tried to move away from Randy Jones. Now Blake goes back, feeds Parrish, and a save by Niedermacky.
This has been a good line for the Islanders. They were excellent against New Jersey. They just seem to have that communication on the ice. Sometimes you hear them yelling and talking, wanting the puck. At other times, they're just working instinctively, being in certain areas. Good play by Blake on the hit. And Parrish just picks up the loose puck. Good shot by him. Niedermacki gobbles it up.
So Yashin and Richards will draw. The shots are 17-8 Islanders. What was it at one time, Joe?
8-6.
Yeah, so that's 11 straight Islander shots. Yashin, good feed. Campoli backs up, put it right to the stick of Richards for the Flyers. And he feeds the right wing, but Carter lost the handle. Kavasha turns it the other way to Asham. Aaron Asham gets into the zone, now drives to the net, denied by Niedermacki. Richards got position to prevent Yashin from teeing up the rebound. There looked to be a little interference going on at the blue line there as Asham was able to find some space to get in. Now Asham again to Kavasha. And from a sharp angle, Niedermacki's able to hold on with 2:24 to go in the second. No shots for the Flyers in over 10 minutes.
Now again, they've kind of changed their style. They're not the same dump it, grind it out forecheck team that we used to see them play. They're trying to win low-scoring games, keep the chances down, which they've done. But now they're not getting any shots. But I'm thinking that Ken Hitchcock, if he can go into the, on the road, if you can go into the third period with a 1-1 tie, probably not a bad place to be.
Flyers, a good road team most of the year, have lost their last 4 on the road. And here's York, denied along the goal line by Niedermacki.
Did he get a glove on that? I think he did, and it went out the other way. York wasn't at a great angle. He was almost along the goal line, but Niedermacki was down, and there was room.
Dumped in by Radovojevic and taken by Bouchard with under 2 minutes to go in the period. And again, don't forget our second intermission with some reminiscences from Bob Nystrom. Here's Umberger centering. Nedved in, denied. DiPietro can't find it. It stays at the doorstep until Ricky covers up.
Nedved with a great chance. DiPietro made the save but didn't know where the puck was. It had bounced straight up in the air, and then he gets some help, but he'll have to make one more save. Watch, straight up in the air, get some help, but coming in was Umberger. And Umberger got a pretty good shot, but DiPietro was down, and watch his right arm. Puck goes up. Where is it? Get some help. Now the right arm flat, and Umberger was the third Flyer coming in. He was number 20 and got that last shot. And DiPietro had his arm down and along the goal line, made the save.
The first Flyers shots in nearly 11 and a half minutes. Jason Blake working behind the Philadelphia goal. Takes it to the corner, centers, Bates, backhander blocked away. It might well have been Niedermacki, although he did have some help in front of him. And the puck sent deep into the Islanders' zone.
That's a good save. Bates, instead of shooting right away, went to his backhand, and Niedermacki stayed with him.
Forsberg lost it along the boards. And Bates feeds Blake. Meyer back to protect it from Bates, who gets right back on him. Centering feed, Parrish, he scores! From Mark Parrish, and the Islanders take a 2-1 lead.
I'm telling you, this line's got something going. They've got something going. Bates makes a good play with his stick to lift the stick and to get the puck. But before he passes, he'll look up to see where Parrish is. Watch, there's the play. Now watch him look up. Little quick look. He knew Parrish was there, and it was an unbelievably perfect pass. Here it is again, right here. He looks up briefly, sees Parrish over there, gives him a perfect pass, and Parrish put everything into it.
So Parrish gets his 23rd. Somewhat uncannily when you consider that Blake scored his 23rd earlier on a night when the Islanders are celebrating a goal by number 23, Bob Nystrom.
2 potential unrestricted free agents that just might get signed before the deadline occurs next week. They combine on the goal.
3 if you count Nystrom and if he's interested. Here come the Flyers in. It's Kavanaugh heading it back, putting it in front, and DiPietro might have got a piece of that from Turner Stevenson. 16 seconds left. Stevenson fires again. It slithers to DiPietro. Lukowicz takes the handoff, doesn't clear though. Marion Hatcher gets it back. 7 to go in the period. Stevenson behind the net. Couldn't get it in front. Bouchard kicked it away as time runs out. And the Islanders taking more and more of the play away from the Flyers as this game has progressed. And now outshot Philadelphia 22-10. And at the end of 2 periods, they lead 2-1.
It's a huge goal because now the Flyers, I don't think they'll do it right away, but they're going to have to change their style to become a little bit more aggressive to try and get some scoring chances. And for the Islanders, yeah, they slowly turn this game around. The shots 8-6 at one time, and the Islanders now lead in that category 22-10 and lead it by a goal.
And when we get back, we'll talk to the guy who scored the goal, Bob Nystrom. He'll reminisce in a moment.
Mark Parrish's 23rd is the go-ahead as the Islanders lead the Flyers 2-1, and as Howie put it, that brings us to number 23 and Bobby Nystrom. He scored another overtime goal in that playoff series and that run in 1980, but of course everybody always remembers the one in Game 6. And what kid doesn't dream about hitting a home run to win the World Series or sinking a buzzer beater to Game 7 of the NBA Finals? What kid doesn't dream about scoring a goal in overtime that wins the Stanley Cup Final? It was an epic moment in sports. It was Bobby Nystrom's goal that won a Stanley Cup.
I dreamt about it and thought about it a lot. I mean, even from the standpoint of being a hero, you know, like being a police officer or a fireman or saving somebody. I mean, I always wanted to be a hero. So when you're put in that situation, you know, it's a thrill of a lifetime.
Checked by Goring. Gillies jumped it in. 4 seconds. It's going to be overtime. The tension will continue until one goal decides this one.
We were pretty down. I mean, we really were down after the 3rd period because we were congratulating each other after the 2nd. I personally went back into the stick room. I always used to sit in there. And, you know, the funny thing was I went and borrowed a scalpel. And I tell this story, people think I'm crazy, but I was just sitting in there just kind of biding the time, you know, like it's very tough to just sit, you know, and just wait. So I was in there and I was actually carving you know, just a chunk out of my stick, and I said, you know, this is going to be my winning goal. I'm going to win this, you know. And I'm sure that everyone else thought the same thing because that's kind of the attitude that we have. And then I heard in the locker room, who's going to be the hero? And that was another thing that always happened. Who's going to be the guy that's going to win it? And everyone would chime in, hey, I'm going to win it. I'm going to win it. I'm going to win it. You know, we believed that we were going to win. And you know what? We always had a saying, hell bent for leather. Let's go at them. Let's get this over with.
Tie, 7 minutes gone in overtime. Henning. Pass right on the stick of Tonelli. Coming in with Nystrom.
I mean, time really slowed down. You know, because, well, maybe it didn't slow down. It's just that I thought of so many things before the puck even came to me as to what I was going to do with it.
Tonelli to Nystrom.
Oh, man, the thought went through my head. Thank God I didn't deke, you know. I probably would have lost it. When I saw it deflect and I saw that it was going up high, it seemed like Peters was a little bit slow to react. I think he thought Johnny T was maybe going to shoot. And I could watch it, and I saw it. I said, this definitely is going to go over him. And I knew that it was going in.
Bob Nystrom scores the goal. The Islanders win the Stanley Cup.
As soon as the puck went in, I heard, and in looking at photographs after the fact, you could see the fans behind the net where the camera angle was, where they were kind of up, and then they were up. And then I could just hear them pounding on the glass. And that's one of the beautiful things about overtime is that when the puck goes in the net, it's done. They can't come back, you know, the game is over. And that was my feeling at that time. And then, you know, the exhilaration when I saw the boys coming and to congratulate me, then it was, you know, exhilaration and happiness. And, man, we got this monkey off our back.
Tonelli to Nystrom. He scored!
It allowed me to give my teammates something that they always wanted, you know. And believe me, I always consider myself a journeyman player and a, you know, blue collar, hard working. and I rode their coattails a lot. And it was an opportunity for me to give them a goal that brought the Stanley Cup. And I've heard a million things about where people were when I scored that goal. So, I mean, it just changed my life that way. People remember me here, probably more so than a lot of other players, and for that I'm very thankful.
Mr. Islander, he is around Long Island all the time, and it is fitting that his son has made it to the National Hockey League, and Bobby Nystrom has been such a big part of youth hockey here on Long Island because, as a sports writer said at the time, it was a moment on Long Island where a lot of kids all over the place put down their gloves and picked up a hockey stick, maybe for the first time, and now Bobby Nystrom is still so involved with the Islanders, and in a lot of ways still the image of the Islanders in those days and of the present-day Islanders as well, and we'll be back.
Pretty passionate. There was a lot of body checks, but most importantly, that first of the 2 goals there, that really got the crowd going. The Islanders with a decisive shots advantage. And as you look at the highlights, you can see why this place was jumping during the second period, Phil.
Well, they finally got this crowd into it. They were so passionate during the pregame ceremony, and they were just waiting for the Islanders to do something, and they end up doing it from behind the net. There's Blake, 55. Watch him just fire it off the chest of Niedermäki, the goaltender, and that tied the game at 1, and this place was alive. And then Robert Nielsen had a chance to make it a 2-1 game. He gets pulled down on the breakaway, gets a penalty shot, and then tries to beat Niedermäki to the far side to the post. Niedermäki, good save there. The game remained tied at 1. And then the Islanders came back, and what a play coming up by Bates. Look at him with the stick. Good job, steals the puck, and then had looked up before he made the pass and gave Parrish a perfect pass. Parrish right off the pass, beats Niedermäki, and the Islanders with a 2-1 lead. They had 19 shots in the second period.
Bates and Parrish combined for a game-winning goal off a face-off in Boston. Let's see if this one holds up as a game winner as we head to the third. Brought to you in part by Panasonic, ideas for life. By Infinity, using the power of design to create dynamic, beautiful automobiles. And by Subway, introducing the new Caribbean Lime Chicken Sandwich from Subway Restaurants. Subway, eat fresh. Well, the Islanders are celebrating a 25th anniversary tonight, and the New York Liberty is celebrating their 10th anniversary this summer. For information on ticket plans, starting with just 3 games, please call 212-465-6073. New York Liberty Basketball, raising the game. Get you caught up on what's happening out of town. Some of it friendly to the Islanders, others not so friendly. Most notable in St. Pete, where the Canadians have put on an offensive show in the third period. They were down 2-1 at one point in that game, and they were up 2-1. They've scored 4 goals in the third period, and they have a 6-2 lead late over the Lightning. Ottawa defeated Toronto 4-2. That's good for the Islanders, as is Buffalo's 3-2 win over Boston. But Atlanta won in overtime. They beat Washington 3-2. As Marian Hossa won it with a goal in overtime.
You know what? They scored late to get back in that game. They trailed 1-0. And you know, that's what makes it difficult. You've got 4, 5, 6 teams all vying really for one spot in the East. And so you've got a scoreboard watch and watch all those games. And so you had Atlanta coming into this tonight. Where were they at, 60 points? Or
yeah, 4 points
58?
ahead. And the Islanders have some games in hand. I think 2 on Atlanta. But you know, Joe, what further complicates it is that the way the National Hockey League designed their schedule this year, and for competitive reasons, it's great. But when you're in the Islanders situation, it's problematic. Everybody's playing each other. Yeah. Everybody's just playing within the conference. So most nights, one of the teams you're trying to catch is coming away with a point or 2. And then sometimes you get those 3-point games, and that makes it even worse. Yeah. Devils beat the Rangers 2-1 tonight as well. So we're in the opening minute of the third, and the Islanders up 2-1, knowing that unless the Lightning come up with a near miraculous rally, the best again the Islanders can do is keep pace with Montreal and stay 8 points back. And at this stage, every game that you spend is precious. Oleg Kavasha with Asham and Yashin.
And again, Howie, it's going to be interesting to see how Philadelphia plays this period. And they've started off conservatively. Again, they're just one-man forechecking. Everyone else is back. They're trailing by a goal. They'll probably try and see if the Islanders make a mistake. And then if not, the second half of the period, I would expect them to get more aggressive.
Nedved, Richards, and Radivojevich. The line for Philadelphia. In comes Nedved. Taken into the boards by Bouchard. They both go down. The puck to the right wing to Asham. He's got Hunter with him. And sweeps it just a little too far for Trent. And Amaki providing some help for Desjardins. And the Islanders change on the move. On feed to Nedved, trying to wheel it in. Couldn't do it. Another good play by Joel Bouchard.
Excellent play. And that was Campoli that stepped up and made the play, not Bouchard. He had the 4 on his jersey, and they got switched around.
Where'd that one come from?
Yeah, Campoli is playing the right side with Erskine, and he ended up making the play over on the left side.
A little more than 2 minutes gone in the third. Savage goes straight into Shatan. And Freddie Meyer feeds Carter on right wing. John Erskine battling with both Carter as well as Richards. Centering feed now doesn't get through, and up comes Bates to center.
Oh, you and I talked about this the other night against New Jersey, where I don't think the Islanders gave up an odd man rush in that game.
Sopel got it through. Blake denied the rebound.
This is another one where they're not only not giving up odd man rushes. I mean, how many times can you remember Philadelphia able to carry the puck over the blue line and make a play? I mean, it just hasn't happened.
Remember the only Flyer goal, some bad luck when a DiPietro wind around hit a stanchion and came right to the slot to Peter Nedved. DiPietro then provided some scary moments with poor plays with the puck, as Bradshaw's facial expression certainly reinforced when we showed it to you right after the fact. But other than that, very, very little in the way of Flyer chances.
Well, I'm wondering if Bradshaw said anything to DiPietro after the second period. Now, he knows he's an aggressive goaltender, and one of his strengths is handling the puck. But when a team starts taking advantage of that by playing it a certain way, sometimes it's best just to stay in the net.
Islanders are out-hitting the Flyers by virtually an identical margin to which they're out-shooting them. 23-10 in shots. One less hit. Pickett throws it back in his own zone. Mike Rathje, number 3. Plays it up to Forsberg. Nice feed to Pickett, but Yashin back to intercept the centering feed. It was intended for Kapanen. Might have had goal written all over it. And now Pickett backing up in his own zone.
He made a great defensive play, and the thing to remember when Forsberg has the puck, make sure you look at everybody else. And that shot there by Knuble went through a little bit of a screen. DiPietro able to gobble it up. But Yashin came back. Forsberg, such an outstanding passer of the puck, and always has such unbelievable patience when he has the puck. He was just waiting for someone to get the open, and Yashin made a good defensive play, and then Knuble with the last opportunity, and the only Flyer goal in this game by that man right there, Peter Nedved.
Nedved will draw with Shatan. Noticed, of course, the Islanders wearing what nowadays is their road white jerseys in tonight's game. But the Islanders, in a concession to tradition, are wearing the white jerseys because that's what they wore in 1980. And the Flyers have really helped out because their standard road jersey now is black. But they have brought their alternate orange jerseys out. That's the color they wore with, to some teams, such intimidation for years in the National Hockey League. A little different design to this jersey, but the idea is similar.
I'm trying to remember who had the heart attack the night before a game in Philadelphia and couldn't play. Oh yes, there was a slight heart attack. The player thought I was not a teammate of the player, and I'm trying to think which team. I think it was an LA player. And back in the mid-70s.
That sounds like something your old pal Bill Stewart would have done.
Thought he had a heart attack. Yeah, well, that was Bill would do that only for only to get an extra timeout as a coach.
He's done that. DiPietro a save. And actually, that's a Larry David move, faking a heart attack. Icing coming up here to the Islanders. Pickett and covers up. Boy, you know, just saying you had a stomach disorder or a flu would have sufficed.
No, well, and that doesn't even suffice. We played 5 minutes and 10 seconds. Flyers with 2 shots on goal. Now you were talking about the hits, Howie. Through 2 periods, Trent Hunter leading the Islanders with 6. 6 of those 20 hits by Hunter. Lukowich with 3. Sopel with a couple. But again, Hunter is just continuing on from his play against New Jersey.
Hunter 3rd in the league in hits. Aaron Asham is 5th in that category.
Now Wyatt Smith getting a shift.
Peter Forsberg hit by the combination of Campoli and Blake. Kapanen went to the net. They couldn't get it there. Forsberg's got it now. Peter Forsberg gave it up to Blake. And Campoli gets it.
I'm wondering about Bates. Now Bates comes on the ice now. But he wasn't on the ice with his normal wings, and now he gets on the ice and kind of slips a little bit and looks at his skate as if there might be a problem. But Bates with that was a very quick shift, about a 15-second shift for Bates. He has a problem with his right skate and now heads back to the bench.
A drive by Stevenson, blocked away by DiPietro. And icing coming to the Islanders here as Desjardins touches up. 13:43 remaining, 3rd period. Bill Torrey, the architect of the Islander dynasty, on this night when the 25th anniversary of the Cup is celebrated. But obviously Brad Shaw has forgotten about all of that pomp and circumstance. It's all business now.
He looks pretty good, though, doesn't he, in the bow tie? The whole group.
He's a quick learner anyway.
Yeah. Said it cost him 2 tickets to an upcoming game, but he did go to the tuxedo store and learn how to tie a bow tie this afternoon.
Could have saved the tickets and just had Bill Torrey teach him. Alexei Yashin high in the slot. Floats it behind the net. Asham there. Thought about a stuff job and tried to kick it out in front. And Darian Hatcher wouldn't let either play evolve. So Yashin gets it back and scoops it right back into Flyer ice. Just about 7 minutes gone in the 3rd period. And out come the Flyers. Here's Radovojevic firing. Blocked by Sopel. Boy, Brent Sopel's last few games have been excellent.
Yeah, really have, haven't they? He's doing a little bit of everything. Defensively, he's been sound. And with the puck, scored a goal last game. Making the right plays with the puck. Look at this. I mean, there's just a smart play. Didn't quite get it in all the way, but made the good play. Getting to the red line, then just get it in. Force the Flyers to have to go 200 feet to get a scoring chance. And again, they've only had 13 shots in this game.
Knuble looking for 14, and he scores. Mike Knuble beats Rick DiPietro, who shows the frustration of allowing one that he knows he should have stopped. And it ties the game 2-2.
Well, there haven't been many times in this game where the Flyers have been able to carry the puck over the blue line. Here's one, a deflected pass all the way across, and that one from inside the dot gets between the arm. It looked like it got between his left arm and his rib cage. Here it is again. Yeah, that's where it went. It went between the left arm, the elbow, and the rib cage, and just snuck through and just barely got into the net. And so for Mike Knuble, his first goal in 6 games. And so that ties the game at 2. With just over 12 minutes left in regulation.
The Islanders as a team just need to shake it off, because the Islanders have played well enough as they buzz here. As Erskine's shot is blocked, so that they shouldn't let the bad goal change anything about the way they play. But here's Carter looking for Richards in the corner. The puck hopped over his stick. And Sean Bates finds Parrish. Just missed Blake with that pass. Bounces around on Ninamaki. He gives it away to Blake. But a good play getting back by Freddie Meyer to prevent Blake from finding some room near that open net. And Erskine takes over.
Yeah, and now they need to get the crowd back into it a little bit, because that kind of took the air out of the crowd a little bit. Now they need to do something. Now we talked about the Flyers. How would they come out and play? Well, they came out conservative.
Bradshaw sends his fourth line out. This line of Smith, Bergenheim, and Nielsen had only played just under 3 minutes combined, 2 periods. However, the Islanders are going to get a power play here. Radivojevic got his stick up on Erskine.
Yeah, and actually Erskine was bent over a little bit on the play, but it looked like he had the stick parallel.
Long drive by York went wide. York jumping on as the delayed penalty was called, and DiPietro got to the bench, and Flyers are ruled to have possession. So now the Islanders with a chance to take that lead back, which just got away on Knubel's goal at the 8:59 mark of the third period. Radivojevic goes in.
You know, they're lined up over on the right side. There's Radivojevic. Now watch it. Oh, no, there it was. Pardon me. I thought maybe Erskine had bent over. He didn't there. Radivojevic just gets the stick up, and so he's cut on the play. Radivojevic ends up with a double minor. And he got the stick up. You know, the first time I looked at it, I thought maybe that Erskine was bent over a little bit, but that was clearly his stick was up. But you know what they're doing? They're giving it to Peter Nedved. I mean, this is a break for the Islanders. They're calling it on the wrong player. Radivojevic tried to go in. They said, no, it's not you, it's Nedved. And so the Islanders get a break here, just from the standpoint of Nedved going to the penalty box, because they lose for 4 minutes. You know, someone that potentially could get you a goal.
So a double minor, 4-minute power play, but Sopel's shot was blocked, and here comes Meyer dropping it, and then the shot by Richards hit a skate and didn't get through.
That's a good play by Sopel. Sopel, after getting the shot blocked, was a step or two behind and was able to catch up and make a defensive play.
Okay, that was Sammy Campen and not Meyer who made the block. Here's Shatan around for Blake behind the net. York took a big hit from Pickenin. Shitnick at the point. Now to Shatan. 40 seconds gone on the first of the 2 minors, and there's going to be another one. Hunter, a shot off the side of the net. Islanders going to have a 2-man advantage. Shatan waiting.
I think he's got to give it up.
And now the whistle.
Now, yeah.
Well, either way, you know, with a 4-minute penalty, they were going to get their 2 minutes regardless. So I guess maybe there was less pressure there on Shatan to give it up.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a good point by you. That was pretty vicious. I mean, it wasn't very smart. It was vicious and not smart. You know, Ken Hitchcock talked. I mean, there's no reason for that. I mean, it's just, you know, that's a penalty that Ken Hitchcock's going to look at and go, why would you do something like that? It doesn't make sense. You know, he doesn't like the call right there, but I think once he sees it on tape, he's going to say there's no reason to do that.
Well, without intentionally over-dramatizing anything, a big portion of the Islanders' hopes for catching Montreal might hinge on the next couple of minutes. The Canadians have won tonight 6-2. The Islanders started play 8 points behind them. But here they've got a 5-on-3 for the full 2 minutes. Shitnick at the left point. Creeps up.
I think he just needs to handle it, Howie. Pardon me.
Blake to Parrish, had a stick locked from behind by Kapanen.
You know, Shatan didn't have it much the first time.
Shitnick's got it here to Yashin, looking for a stick in front. Now throws it back. Shitnick fires. He missed the net. And it came hard enough around for Kapanen to get in front of Shatan and clear.
Yeah, that's where you have to hit the net. You've got 2 players that are down low, both Blake and Parrish in front of the net, and Shitnick just missed.
Rafchi stays with Chetan, loosens the puck, and it's poked out of the zone, and scooping it up and moving ahead is Richards. Richards to the slot. DiPietro a little unsteady until he finally locates the puck.
You know, Richards has already had a shorthanded goal this year on a 3-on-5 situation.
40 seconds left to the 5-on-3. Campoli wheels it back to Blake. Hunter alone in front for a moment. Now Campoli fires, deflects, they score! Hunter looked like he got a piece of it, and the Islanders regain the lead, 3-2.
You know, the Flyers were so aggressive. They were so aggressive. Campoli ended up shooting it, and you know what? Maybe it was only one deflection. That's our Panasonic digital replay. Here it is again. It'll deflect up high right there and then bounce down. There was a stick there, but I don't think Hunter touched it. It looked like it just stuck between the pads. There's the one deflection, bounce, redirection, and then just underneath the pads. And that goal will go to Campoli. It'll be a power play goal, a huge goal. I don't think Hunter touched it. I think it missed his stick. 8:37 to go. Islanders still on a power play for the next 132. And they have a 1-goal lead.
Right, now it's a 5-on-4, and so Chris Campoli, who was in awe when he met Mike Bossy earlier today, does what Bossy did so many times during his Islander career, score a big goal. And the Islanders desperately needed one during that 5-on-3. Kavasha holds up, feeds Sopel. Sopel to Kavasha. Hunter back in front of the net. York looking that way. Campoli jumped in as well, missed it, and the puck is sent just past the stick of Sopel as it hopped over his stick blade.
Now the Islanders would love another goal, but be careful of that.
Manubel knocks it down, and ultimately so does DiPietro.
Now be careful. Now the Flyers know that they've got to take a chance shorthanded if they can. You have to be aware of that.
Jason Blake turned it over at the line with the Islanders changing. Rafchi quickly ahead for Umberger. R.J. Umberger put it off the stick of Bouchard. 29 to go. Did they give a goal to Trent Hunter?
Yeah, I think they did, but I think they'll change it. I don't think Hunter touched it.
I think you were right initially, Joe, and from looking at a couple of replays, it did not look like Trent Hunter got a piece of it.
Plus his reaction basically told me that he didn't touch it.
10 seconds left to the power play, but this is going to be it. Flyers clear, straight ahead for Richards. Back for it, though, is Bouchard for the Islanders. Out comes Nedved.
7 minutes to go.
Hunter from Campoli at 11:21. Write that one in pencil, though. It may well change. Desjardins for Forsberg. Peter Forsberg looks for the slot. Karams to Kapanen. Sammy Kapanen fires. That hit Nedved, it appeared, and Kavash is able to send it out of the zone. Now Kapanen right back ahead. Nedved to Forsberg. He charges ahead. Good play by Lukowicz. Brad Lukowicz might have just saved the Islanders' lead. Kapanen to Desjardins. Big save, DiPietro. And out come the Islanders. Yashin leads the attack. Up to Kavasha. Yashin to the net. Yashin's got it. Closes in. And misses the net. And that comes around with the Islanders changing. And out come the Flyers quickly. Moving in over the line is Nedved. Peter Nedved throws it at DiPietro. Puts a stick on it. Now Forsberg makes a wide pass. And Randy Jones has to rift back to his own line.
Oh, that play Lukowicz made was better than good on Peter Forsberg. That was a heck of a play. That's one to remember.
Lukowicz's dad, Bernie, and Lauren Henning, good friends from their youth. Bernie was the best man at Bernie's wedding. Lukowicz had a chance to chat with Henning over the last couple of days. 5:35 remaining in the third period.
At one time in their career, Lauren Henning said they played on the same line together.
Pietro wheels it off the boards and past Savage and out. And offside the call. 5:20 to go. Third period. Islanders up 1.
Peter Forsberg driving to the net. What a play by Lukowicz with the stick. Reaches out. Gets the puck. Deflects it to the corner. And that's our Lexus drive of the game, Howie.
And that drive of the game brought to you by Lexus, the new all-wheel drive Lexus IS 250. Why live in one dimension?
I knew I could count on you.
When we can give you 2 or 3 from right up here.
5:05 to go.
26-18 Islanders in shots. Radovojevic. They're off the skate of Asham, and the Flyers have it back. Asham, Kavasha on for this shift against Radovojevic, Umberger, and Nedved.
Keep the sticks down, stay out of the penalty box.
Umberger shot it just wide of DiPietro. Radovojevic knocked down by Yashin, and so much for staying out of the penalty box. Delayed penalty against the Islanders. Joni Pitkanen makes several moves, and they say that Asham's sliding block gave the Islanders possession, even though Peter Forsberg didn't agree. But Yashin takes a penalty at a rather untimely juncture of this hockey game.
Well, now the Flyer power play. Here it is behind. Watch the stick. It's the right call. The stick was on the skates. Radovojevic went down. I think Yashin knew it right away. And so the tripping on Alexei Yashin. Fans get a little cheer here as they see the score. New Jersey beating the Rangers. And now the Islanders have work to do.
And a face-off high in the slot. Forsberg, Kapanen, Knuble, Desjardins, and Meyer.
Oh, smart play.
Bates.
What a smart play by Bates. He knew Forsberg was going to try and pull the puck back, so Bates went straight forward and put the puck past everyone and down the ice.
So now Forsberg attempting to bring it back. Loses it on a sweep check by Sopel. Delayed offside, so the Islanders could play around with it here for a moment, but now they blow it down. So there will be a face-off outside the Islander blue line, 21 seconds into this Philadelphia power play.
And now the Flyers change a couple of the players. They leave Forsberg on the ice. They put Nedved out there along with Knuble.
York and Chatan with Bouchard and Lukowicz. Flyers win the draw. Nedved fired it wide. Was that a set play off the draw zone?
Yes, Nedved was lined up on the far boards, all the way to the other side of the ice.
Nedved battling with York. Got it back to the blue line. Meyer to Pitkanen, who fires. DiPietro grabs it. He came far out above the rim of the goal crease.
Right from the faceoff. Here's Nedved right down here. Watch what happens. They'll get the puck to him. Set play. Perfect play. Forsberg won the faceoff. Kapanen ended up with the pass across. And then Nedved, who's got a terrific wrist shot, misses the net on the short side.
I believe it's Ken Hitchcock who took the timeout here that will give the teams a breather with 3:46 to go in the third period. And again, 1:18 to go on the penalty to Yashin. The PSAL High School Hoops Championships, presented by Nike and Foot Locker, return to Madison Square Garden on Sunday, March 19th. Tickets for the PSAL Championships are on sale now through Ticketmaster. Nice to get 18,500 Cardozo fans in there. First, Cardozo's got to get there. That's another story.
Now the other story is 3:46 remaining in this one. Islanders with the 1-goal lead. Flyers with the power play. Face off to the right of Rick DiPietro. And a long discussion on the bench with Bradshaw, Bouchard. These points critical for the Islanders.
Tonight they are mandatory, with Montreal having won. Flyers control. Pitkanen lets one go. Juggled by the glove of DiPietro. And that keeps the Flyers in business in the offensive zone. Minute 8 to go to the power play. Look at the work of Bates, only to be upended. And to see Forsberg slip it past two Islanders. Now it's Meyer shooting. DiPietro stopped it, and Bates is the one who clears it.
Yeah, good play by Bates. Great work by Bates killing the penalty. And that save by DiPietro wasn't easy because he had some bodies to look through and look around.
Meyer couldn't connect with Knuble, and Chatan clears. Time wasting. 37 to go on the power play. Coming down to 3 minutes left in the third period. 3-2 New York. And the Flyers having trouble getting started on this portion of the power play. Savage powers past Lukowicz. Centers it. Blocked by Bouchard. Terrific play by Bouchard. Again, it's Pitkanen feeding down low. Pitkanen gets it back. Flubs a pass temporarily until Savage is able to get it back to Desjardins. Final 9 of the power play. Savage in the slot. Hit a leg. Back now for Desjardins. Yashin ready to come out. Richards steps up. Long feed to Savage. Centers. It's missed. Yashin out of the box.
What a play by Bouchard. Bouchard lifted the stick of, I believe it was Pitkanen, who was going to take the pass across, and just as he was going to shoot, Bouchard with the stick lifts the stick, puck goes the other way.
That's after a good sliding block that he made earlier on the Flyer power play. Now it's the last 2 minutes and 5 seconds in question here, with the Islanders up a goal. And Knuble working on the forecheck against Sopel. Bates gets it back. And Jitnik looking for some space. Goes up the middle. Grabbed back by Meyer. Immediately met by Blake. Good job by Blake. And now Jason up the boards to Bates. That was the first objective. Make a safe play. The next was to get it deep. They've accomplished that. All of this taking time off. And the Flyers have to think about getting their goaltender, Niittymaki, to the bench.
Now this is the line that has to do the job defensively right here.
Forsberg plays it across off a skate. Desjardins slaps it deep. Sopel whips one around. Yashin gloved it to Kavasha. It came out, delayed offside. Kavasha in no hurry to keep it moving. Now the Flyers flush out. But it's all to the Islanders' advantage as Asham just tucks it deep into the Flyer zone. Desjardins with the Islanders changing. Up the middle, Nedved made one move, couldn't succeed with a second. And Asham gets it again. Final minute of the third period. And still Niittymaki in the Philadelphia goal. He looks to the bench for a signal to come out, but the Flyers have to get it up ice first. Radovojevich hits the red line, dumps it in. Niittymaki's at the hash marks. Lukowicz has the puck. Niittymaki's going to the bench. Lukowicz trying to kill some time and preserve the puck, but he finally turns it over to Kapanen, who throws one to the net but deflects off a skate. Empty skater for the Flyers. Empty net for the Flyers. They have an extra skater on. Islanders failed to clear. 28 seconds left. Forsberg trying to make a play. And another good play by Bouchard prevents it. Bouchard being shown a lot of respect here. Out on the final half minute. Islanders don't clear. Meyer's shot deflects. DiPietro stopped it. Down to 13. Puck remains loose. Nedved's got it. Nedved looks for a play. Put it off Bouchard. The Islanders are going to win it now. Here's Hunter looking at the empty net. Bingo! Hunter gets the goal, but how about Joel Bouchard?
I'll tell you what, he is playing some big-time hockey. Joel Bouchard goes down to block this. He is spent right now. What a ship for him, and what a battle he put on. And right there, look at this play. Nedved with the great wrist shot. Bouchard totally takes it away, blocks the shot. That leads to Hunter putting it in the empty net. And the Islanders with a crucial 2 points again to stay in the playoff race. And before that, watch Bouchard play right there. Lifts the stick of Pitkanen, so Pitkanen can't get the shot on the pass across.
Well, Joel Bouchard has been a find for the Islanders. In his 11th game, he has perhaps his biggest impact and expends his largest amount of fuel.
He's
that
wiped
tank
out.
Looks empty.
Yeah. Wiped out.
A win that the Islanders had to have after they saw that Montreal won. But it's still somewhat profitable for New York because they move within just 1 point of Toronto, 2 points of Boston. They have games in hand on both of those teams, and before the Islanders can get to that 8th slot, they've got to climb over that traffic in front of them. So yes, Montreal might have won and the Islanders might have seen another game go by the boards, but they win it and they do gain ground on some of that traffic ahead of them.
And listen, for the Islanders, what they're concerned about is winning the next one, and then win the next one. You tend to scoreboard watch because of the teams that are close, but what you have to keep doing as a team is just keep winning. keep concentrating on the game at hand, get your points, and because you don't have any control over anything else.
Jason Blake, the third star of this game.
The second star of the game from the New York Islanders, number 37, Mark Parrish.
Mark Parrish had the tying goal. You would have to think they'll make Hunter the first star. He's been credited with 2 goals. It may shrink down to 1 if the off-ice officials get another look.
With 2 goals, number 7, Trent Hunter.
Add 10 hits to that as well. Not only the goals, but 10 hits in the game for Trent Hunter.
And for that, he gets to talk with Deb Kaufman.
Trent, I have to ask you, with the 1980 Cup team upstairs, were you thinking about them more when you were trailing or once you took the lead?
Well, I think, it was a huge boost for us tonight to have these guys here. They did some amazing things for the island, and, it was nice to win the game.
Who is the coolest one that you met?
Well, they're all pretty cool. To get a chance, you hear so much about them, and to actually get the opportunity to meet them, it was a great honor.
Chris Campoli took the long shot that you may have tipped to go in. What did you see?
Well, just trying to get in front and cause havoc with the goalie, and Campy did a great job of getting the puck through, and pretty happy to see it go in.
You're gaining some ground on Toronto and Boston and some of the other teams right ahead of you. How do you guys focus on just playing the next game?
Well, I think, every game is so important for us right now, and, we do have to just focus, one game at a time, but, it was a good start getting these 2 wins at home, and now we got some big games on the road.
Now, it just seemed like every time there was a bit of a lull, you guys did something to get the crowd back in the game. How much energy did you feel in the building tonight, especially after the ceremony?
Oh, it was amazing. You definitely feed off the fans, and there was a lot of energy, and, it was a lot of fun tonight.
All right, congratulations on the win, Trent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Trent Hunter credited with a couple of goals tonight. The Islanders are credited with 2 big points that they needed, Howie and Joe.
They needed them, they got them, and they made their ancestors proud. 1980 team on hand all day. And in front of the first of the 4 straight Stanley Cup champions, the current day Islanders win a big one, 4-2. We'll be back in a moment.
When I got my
netter, and they defeat the Flyers 4-2, and everybody can take a big kind of exhaling breath right about now, because it's been that kind of day here and night on the island, although it didn't get off to a good start when Peter Nedved scored a power play goal, but Blake and Parrish gave the Islanders the lead after 2, and after Philadelphia scored it or tied it on Mike Knubel's goal, that's when the Islanders needed some help, and they got it in the sense that the Flyers took some penalties that gave the Islanders a 2-man power play. Hunter credited with a goal on a Campoli shot, which may or may not have actually touched Hunter, but Hunter certainly did get the empty netter all by himself with a lot of help from Chatin and Bouchard. And our goal of the game is brought to you by smooth and refreshing Bud Light. Great taste for your great times.
Well, it was 2-2 when this happened. The Islanders were able to get the puck in the zone. Here's the shot by Campoli. Hunter had his stick there. Did it hit it? I don't know. I didn't think so at the time. He got credit for it nonetheless. It was a huge goal as it snuck between the pads of Niittymaki. That made it 3-2. Here's another look. I don't think he touched it. I think it goes to Campoli. They'll probably change it, though. And the Islanders use that goal as the game winner. And they added the empty net, I should say, to make it a 4-2 game, and they got a huge couple of points there.
First time this year the Islanders have won consecutive games when they have been at home. Now they'll have to go on the road briefly, play Washington on Monday night, and even the Capitals right now are not a gimme.
Not a gimme. They're a hard-working team. Now, granted, they've they're not going to make the playoffs, but they go into Toronto and win a game there. They lose tonight, but they were up 1-0 in the third period against Atlanta before losing in overtime. So the Capitals have been all year a hard-working team, and they've got one of the top players, if not the best player in the game, in Alexander Ovechkin.
Are you feeling drained right about now?
No.
You want more?
I feel good. This has been a great night.
Let's do another game. Let's bring him back for 3 periods. No, it's just so many emotions running around this building today, and everything kind of intersected. It was really a confluence of events that the fans were able to celebrate, and obviously the current day Islanders too, because to see the impression that the champion Islanders made on today's team was really something to see.
This was a special day, and it started this morning. I mean, it started last night for the 1980 team, but it really started this morning for the fans, because all the season ticket holders were here this morning, and that 1980 team was on the ice. They had the Stanley Cup on the ice. Those players around this morning. It was just a great day. I mean, they were so happy to be here. The players were happy to see them. All of us were happy to see Al Arbour and Bill Torrey and the whole group of them. And it just continued throughout the day. The great march from the hotel to here was something special. I mean, thousands of people, and the players of 1980 and Bill Torrey and Al Arbour, they couldn't believe the people that were out there that remembered them like they did. It was a terrific day. That's why I'm still kind of energized by the whole day, but it's been a long day.
You know who else was really energized was Dennis Potvin. He said something very interesting during his speech, saying that he really was glad to see the way the entire Islander family was made to feel like just that, because I guess his point was that there had been prior events under different ownerships here where they did not invite all of the players' wives back, and the families were not embraced the way they were here. And full marks to everybody, and I mean everybody in the organization who had to do with putting it together tonight. But it all starts with one person, and that's Charles Wang, because ever since he bought this team, he has treated it like a family. You see players' wives at various functions all the time, and that's something that he has stressed, and he seemed to be having as much fun as anybody.
Well, you know what, the players, it just wasn't one, but including Jiggs McDonald and some of the players this morning were talking about the heartfelt words that not only Charles Wang, but Mike Milbury spoke last night at their dinner. It started with Charles Wang, and then Mike Milbury had some great things to say, and deservedly so, about Bill Torrey and what he's done, and trying to copy what he's done and not being able to do that. But it was, they came away from that dinner a feeling of appreciation by the 1980 team and the people that were there. And I think it just, cements the relationship more than it was before, and I think it's a great thing for these current players and a great thing for the franchise in the future.
That team made Long Islanders feel something special about themselves for a long time, and today's players got a taste of that, and with a sellout crowd and a victory tonight, they understand what it means when people talk about Islander pride. So a 4-2 win by the Islanders tonight. Joe and I will see you back here, actually in Washington, on Monday, and Deb Kaufman is coming up right after this.